Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's get that started over there. I'm trying something new today. I'm recording in two different directions. Just a little experiment I'm conducting.
Shut up, your now is Obama.
That's for you, bro. I saw you in the chat there. That one was for you, chosen one. Kayfa halukum, how are we doing today? Oh man, flipping now. Why do YouTube content creators keep forcing me into doing this? Yani? I feel forced. I feel like a victim. I'm a victim. I am a victim of consuming diabolical content. Absolute diabolical. I am a victim. And as a result now, I must react, respond, because I am the victim of consuming this crap. How can I consume it without making you consume it with me? A'udhu billah. On a serious note though, I was having a discussion with one of my good friends the other day, and he's heavy into crypto. He's big into crypto. And I was just asking him for some advice. I said to him, bro, I don't really know much about it. What's the crack? I know it's a bit late to ask that question, but I stay in my lane. I don't dabble with what I don't know about, right? And he said to me, I'm going to be honest with you, Mahdi. If you're looking to learn about crypto online on YouTube, don't bother. There's so much noise that I have now decided that I am going to pay money just to cut out all the noise. He pays £120 every single month to some company, I don't even know who it is, to some guy, I don't know who it is, to cut through the crap and give him the cream, the gems, the nuggets. And I say the same with YouTube as well, is that there is so much noise on YouTube, so much noise that sometimes you get lost in listening to crap. There's so much information out there, but how much of that information is good information? And you could make a case, an argument, especially if you don't like my type of content, that I fit into that category. Don't listen to me then. Don't listen to the noise. You need to find ways to cut the noise in your life. Cut out the noise. Bismillah. So, before we begin this, I have prepared a short monologue that I wanted to get off my chest before we get right into this, because I'm going to be reacting to a bunch of Gen Z girls, for the most part, young girls, young sisters, and they run their own podcast, and they're just talking about stuff like everyone else does online. But when you start dishing out relationship advice, and you yourself are extremely young, and to couple that, you have absolutely no experience of being in a relationship either, no experience of being in a marriage, but then you're online here, potentially influencing the masses with your advice, then this needs to be checked. This has to be checked. And you're going to see as we get into this video why I say that. And I'm going to be as fair as possible, because one of the sisters does make a couple of fair points, and I'll give her that. But the question that keeps being brought up time and time again is it harder today for men and women alike, but especially men, to get married? And I say especially men because it's the women doing the rejecting. It's the women turning the men away. And I do believe that in this day and age, particularly if you live in the civilized West, meaning you live in relative comfort, I do believe it's harder to find a wife today. As a man, it's harder to find a wife for the average man. Why? There's a number of reasons. And I'm going to be referring to my notes here. And I'm not going to just put this all on the women. I'm going to try and be as fair as possible with my reasoning as to why men are generally finding it more difficult to marry women. And the first reason is this. Men, wholesale, across the board, if you have been raised in the West, you've been through the Western education system, men, generally speaking, are less attractive to women than what they were before. Why? Well, to quote some lady, I forget her name, Jordan Peterson interviewed her. She's a lesbian, but you know what? She was spitting some facts here. And she was saying that Men today, boys today, are raised to be defective girls. Those were her words. Boy, and bearing in mind, she's part of the alphabet community. And even she had the presence of mind to acknowledge, because she's an academic herself, she had the presence of mind to acknowledge that young boys today are raised to be defective girls. Meaning what? Well, the female way of communicating, of emoting, of being, of playing, of doing is the correct way of emoting, being, doing, playing, etc. So when boys show any type of masculinity in schools, which are run predominantly by women, they are put in the naughty corner, or they are told to quieten down, or they are given drugs in some cases, diagnosed with ADHD and the like. So young men today have been raised in the school system as defective girls. And we are seeing this most prominently amongst millennials and Gen Z, my generation and the generation beneath me. Millennials and Gen Z are most openly displaying these very unattractive qualities. I'm talking about the men. Because we've been raised in a school system which taught us to emote and behave as a defective girl, to not allow and to harness the natural masculine aspects of our personalities that all young men have. So now we're neither manly nor womanly. We're this weird Frankenstein creation in between, which is neither attractive to neither. It's like we're just stuck in the middle. And I speak in broad terms, of course. So the thing is, as much as women think that this is how they want men to be, when those men inevitably grow up and then go out into the world to try and get married, or if you're non-Muslim, to get a girlfriend, or whatever the case may be, they end up not being able to attract the type of women that they want to, because women, generally speaking, are finding them wholly unattractive. And you see, you have this nasty perpetuating cycle or circle of men being raised, young boys being raised as defective girls, told this is what women want, and then they go out into the world, try to get married, and women tell them, oh, no, we don't want you. That's reason number one as to why I believe that it is harder to find a wife today than before. And if you're just joining the stream, please hit the like. Reason number two is that, and in fact, reason number two ties in with reason number three. Women have been told in the West that they don't need a man. They don't need a man. I don't need no man. I'm a boss babe. I don't need no man. I'm strong and independent and all the rest of it. And you know what? They have a point. They actually have a point. In this day and age right now in the West, if you live in a developed country, it doesn't even have to be the West. If you live in a developed country, women truly don't need men. Why? Because men have, and shout out to Kevin Samuels, have civilized the planet to the point where life is so relatively easy in comparison to what it was before, that women genuinely don't need a man to survive. This is the truth. They don't actually need a man to survive anymore as they once did. Of course, they rely on the goodwill of men to, keep things in place. The men's in the sewers and the bin men and the electricians and the builders to continue doing their job. But so long as those guys continue doing their job, well, women don't really need men like that. Meaning she doesn't need a husband to survive. That's what I mean. She can survive just fine without one. And when I say just fine, I mean she won't die. Because previously, a woman got married out of necessity. All of these extra things, he's got to have this, that, and the third, 6 figures, 6 foot, and I don't know, whatever else. That was like a distant fantasy. If he has that, mashallah, so much the better. If he doesn't, no problem. I need a husband anyways. Why? Because survival was at the forefront of their mind. Survival. I need a man to take care of me. Now that that has been taken care of, one of the weird side effects of living in a civilized, developed society is that women don't actually need men like that anymore, meaning she doesn't need a husband. What's the side effect of that? Where am I going? What's my point? The side effect is that women now have the luxury, and it's actually a curse, but they have the luxury of being fussier, of raising the bar, of saying, I would rather die single than settle for that guy. I'd rather die single than settle. This is the mindset. This is the mentality. This is what's going on through their mind. Because they can afford to do that right now. And women, generally speaking, across the board, would rather die single, alone and miserable and single, than settle in her mind with a man whom she believes is punching well below her weight. She thinks she can do better. She'd rather just be single. Why? I'll explain to you why. Which brings me on to my fourth reason. Women need men. They need men for survival. And this is not a contradiction to what I said earlier. They still need all of those guys, bin men, electricians, and all the rest of it, to keep doing their jobs, to keep to keep the cycle going, to keep the cog moving. But they need those men to do that. So long as those men do that, she doesn't necessarily need a husband to survive. But women, generally speaking, broadly speaking, need men to survive. If you don't believe me, look outside the window right now. Look at the cars. Look at the street. Look at the pavement. Look at the restaurant. Look at the lights. Look at the scaffolding. Look at the buildings. Name me one of those things that was created by a woman, that is maintained and sustained by a woman. Just one, billahi, one. This bloody platform I'm communicating on with you right now, who made it? Who made it? A man. Okay, that man sold it to who? Another man. Two men to be precise. Google. Do you understand? So these day-to-day things that we take for granted have been made and are maintained by men. But a woman doesn't necessarily need a man to survive anymore. So women need men, but men want women. A man doesn't need a woman to reach the end of his natural life. Don't get it twisted with perpetuating the species. Yes, we both need each other to perpetuate the species, but a man doesn't need a woman to live to the end of his natural life. Of course, life is much better with women. Don't get it twisted. I'm just saying, if you want to be particular, because men are the ones who are maintaining all of this stuff. Like, men will get by just fine to live to the end of their natural lifetimes. But herein presents a problem. And I need you to pay very close attention, because, and this is a fundamental rule in marketing, never sell the people what they need, sell them what they want. Why? Because people are more motivated, will take more vigorous action to get what they want than what they need. I'll prove it to you. You need to exercise 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week minimum. You need to drink 2 liters of water a day. You need to eat a minimum of 1,500 calories a day. You need, on and on we can go. Multivitamins, so on and so forth. But you see, the things that we need to do tend to be boring. You need to eat your 5 a day, fruit and veg. How many of you do that? I don't even do that. But apparently we need to do that. And I don't want to have an argument, oh, it's not true, you don't need, whatever. You understand my point. You need to do that. But do you? Now, let's talk about wants. You want to binge on Netflix. You want to eat loads of chocolate. You want to sleep in. You want to go to bed late. You want to splurge in town, in the mall. You want. Which one of those two are you more motivated by? Watching Netflix all night long, splurging in town, treating yourself, or drinking 2 liters of water a day and eating your 5 a day? Which one are you more motivated by? And shout out to Yusuf Chowdhury. Shout out to you, Akhi, for the $10 super chat.
You have a wife?
Appreciate it, my man. Habibi, barakallahu fik. Which one are you more motivated by? You are more motivated by what you want, not what you need. And it's a core rule in marketing. Never sell the people what they need. Sell them what they want and package inside of it what they need. But sell them what they want. Because people don't buy what they need. They buy what they want. What's my point? And if you're just coming in, we've got 160 of you in here, hit the like. My point is this. Women need men. But needs don't push people to take action like wants do. Men want women and are willing to pull hell and earth to get it because they really want to. He really wants to fulfill his sexual desire. That's the motivating force, by the way, at the forefront of his mind. Of course, we want the relationship and the sakina and all the rest of it, but the primary motivating force is he wants to be in halala with a woman. that sexual urge is stronger in a man than it is in a woman. A woman is less needy like that. She's willing to, you know what? If I got to die alone, I die alone. If I got to die alone, I die alone. Shut up, Habibi Kareem, my man. My man. I appreciate the support, guys. Habibi, Jazakallah khair, Akhi Kareem, 1799 super chat. Thank you, my man. Spank that podcast. I'm coming, Oak247. Thank you for the £2 super chat. I'm coming. So, because men have civilized the planet to the point where women can stay single in the developed world without there being any major serious repercussions to their livelihood, to their well-being, women, generally speaking, are not happy, but are willing to not marry a man, to not partner up with a man, if it means that this man is below her level. Whereas before, back in the day, 100 years ago, women had to get married because it was a survival thing. It was a survival thing. But now, it's not a survival thing anymore. She can't get by without you, bro. I'm going to be honest with you. Because in a broader sense, men have civilized the planet to the point where women don't necessarily need a man anymore. Any one man. She needs all of those other men to continue doing their jobs, which they will. But one man, she doesn't need him. It's like a bonus in her mind. And that's why I believe women are fussier today than they have ever been before, particularly in the developed world. Now, of course, if you watch certain podcasts, like, for example, Fresh and Fit, and you just consume that type of content, you will get a miscued representation of the expectations of women. I don't believe that's a fair and accurate representation of the women in Miami as a representation for the women across the world. Now, that's hypergamy on steroids. But generally speaking, women do have a higher expectation of what a man should bring to the table today than they did before. Why? Because they can afford to be. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's actually a very bad thing. In the West right now, in America right now, do you know what what's the word I'm looking for? The average births or the average children per household must be in order for a population to continue increasing. The average children per household needs to be at 2.4 in order for a population to continue increasing. The average number of children per household in America right now is 1.7. America is a dying population. It's a dying population. It's not like Japan. It's not as far progressed as Japan, but it is a dying population right now. Why? Because they're not having enough kids to continue the perpetuation of the species. Why? Because women are saying, well, you know what? If I can't have that top guy, that guy I believe I deserve, I'll just die alone, whatever. Because women are motivated by needs, and needs don't push people as much as wants do. Wants make you go further than needs do. I want a Bugatti Veyron. I need 2 liters of water a day to survive. Which one is more motivating to you? Do you understand? This is the situation. This is the situation. Right. Stop that recording on my phone. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We're going to get started with this dissection, this dismembering. But we have 197 of you right now in the stream. And we have how many likes? How many likes do we have? 50. That is unacceptable. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable. We have 58 likes and 198 of you in the stream. I'm going to mute this mic and mute this camera. And unless we get up to at least 60%, I'm not continuing. Let's get those likes up, guys. Get those likes up. Oh, there's 203 of you in here, and we have how many likes? 74. Well, you know what? We ain't doing this. Get the likes up. Hit the like. You know what? Hit the dislike button. I don't care. Traction is traction. Do you think, for the sake of Allah, not likes and shares? Likes are important in order to perpetuate the message, my friend. That's how the algorithm works. There is the game. Respect the game. Hit the like. Respect the game. Respect the game, and we will get into the dissection. 222 of you in here. Yallah. Hit that like. Hit that like.
Wallahi, I look at man, that man's moving wet. Man's moving soft. Man's moving on his... You're moving towards gating.
Are you sick in the mind? Are you that mentally enslaved and intellectually subservient and intellectually molested and ideologically molested?
Shout out to the brother who sent me that via email, by the way. That's a good soundbite, that is. All right. Bismillah. Let's pull this up. Let's boil this up. Okay, and to the girls that I'm reacting to today, I believe the name of their podcast is How Did We Get Here? Right. How Did We Get Here podcast. I invite you sisters onto the stream. In fact, let me just do this real quick. Invite, copy to clipboard. Let me see if I can add it. Can I add it to the description? I don't know if I can. 2 pages. It's more cross for your name for later. I don't know why it never lets me add it to the description whenever I do this. So I'm going to put it in the comments. If you want to join the stream, you are welcome to, but you have to wait in the queue. If you duck out, you go right to the back of the queue again. The stream link is in the comments. Join the stream. In the comments. Hit that damn like. Barakallahu feekum. Let's share this screen. Yallah. Prom tab. So the name of this particular stream, or sorry, the name of this podcast that we're going to be reacting to today is Why Millennials Aren't Getting Married. This is what we're going to be going over. Now, I've taken timestamps that I want to react to. So I'm going to be going forward to them. I'm going to be moving backward and forwards between these different timestamps. And I'm going to provide a dissection. I'm going to be as fair as possible as well, because one of the sisters does make some valid points, and, respect to her for that. Let's get into this dissection. Let's get into it. Bismillah. 123. It's the first timestamp. Right. You guys ready?
On a lot of our generation's mind. Yeah. But as a result of that, I feel like people are like in their like late 20s, early 30s, and they're still either not interested in getting married, or they're ready to get married now, or they're thinking about marriage, but they haven't found the person to marry.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Have you seen that TikTok where this guy's like, I'm gonna interview expired Muslims?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And he's like, why do you not? So he goes to his friends who are all in their like late 20s, early 30s, and he'll be like, what's your name? What do you do for a living? How tall are you? Why are you not married? And then it's basically,
I've seen that. Yeah.
So I feel like there's a big thing of basically our generation. A lot of them are not married. So people either get married like super young.
Yeah.
Or like super late or not getting married.
For me, I think it's the fact that people just haven't found who they're looking for, and if they think they have, they might not want to settle, because that's what I've heard from speaking to so many.
So I want to pay. I think it's people haven't found what they're looking for, but if they have found what they're looking for, they might not want to settle. What? You guys are telling me there's an echo. Echo. Let me see audio. Right, yeah, you're gonna have to deal with that, guys. That's the best I can do right now. I know it's a tiny echo. Let me just hear it. I know it's a tiny echo. You're gonna have to deal with it. Best jazakumullah khair. I appreciate the €5 super chat. You have to deal with it, guys. So she said, even if they found what they want, they might not want to settle. My first question to you is this: how can you have found what you want, but then still consider it to be settling, sister? How is it settling if you found what you want? And by the way, I don't even like this word want, Because I can want to buy a £30 million mansion on credit. But if I don't have the credit, the bank's going to give me the middle finger. You want what you want, but do you qualify? But regardless, let's say you found what you wanted. You found what you wanted. And still, this is not enough for you. You are settling. That's not settling. Look, let me just tell you something before I continue. I was having this conversation with my wife the other day. And I said to her, you know, I am hesitant. I am reluctant sometimes in my delivery, in doing this whole thing on YouTube, because I feel like I'm still a bit too young to be talking on these topics. Wallahi, I still feel like I'm a bit too young. And I would say this, were it not for my personal circumstance, my personal backstory, which I'll explain to you in a moment, I don't want to hear 30-somethings given relationship advice online. I certainly don't want to hear 20-somethings given relationship advice online. My backstory is what? I got married at 16. I had my first kid at 17, second at 18, third at 19. One of my sons died when I was 20. I had another one when I was 23, another one when I was 24, second wife when I was 25, third wife when I was 27. All in all, 12 kids. I'm going backwards and forwards, dealing with 12 kids in total and still having more children. All of my friends since the age of 16 have been 40 plus. Those guys now are in their late 40s and late 50s. They're in their late 40s and late 50s. Those were my friends. I couldn't connect with my age group anymore. So my background, 16 years of marriage, consecutive marriage, with at least one woman, and at one point for a number of years, I had 3 women at the same time, and many children, puts me in a position to share some pearls. But you will notice whenever I'm having a podcast with the likes of AbuAmerican, Coach Kareem, I shut my mouth and zip it. You want to know why? Because they're older than me. They have more experience than me. I'm here to learn. When I'm with those individuals, I'm here to learn. I don't want to hear no relationship from advice from some 20-something-year-old, and certainly not from someone who hasn't been married before. That's just some nonsense.
Shut up, now it's Obama.
Let's continue. And again, guys, I apologize about the echo. You have to deal with it. We've got 420 of you in here. And how many likes do we have? Oh, no, we've got 400 of you and 85 likes. Wallah, it's disrespectful. Hit that like, barakallahu feekum.
My older friends when they're married, they're just like, oh, I don't think I found the person. And like even one of the girls in that day, she was saying like, why am I gonna settle if I'm gonna be unhappy in my marriage? Like, and she's like, there's no point of even committing to something if you know that there's no potential like long term. So she's like, I'd rather just be single until, and she's in her 30s. So
did you hear that? Did you hear that? Why would I settle? I'd rather be single, and she's in her 30s.
This is number one bullshit. You sick in the mind? Are you that mentally enslaved and intellectually subservient and intellectually molested and ideologically molested?
You man are still complaining about the echo. Let me hear this.
Subservient and intellectually molested.
Mute yourself for a second. All right, that's what I'll do. When I next play it, I'll mute myself. Yeah, when I next do it, I'll mute myself. You guys let me know. How are you settling when you're past your prime, in your 30s? How are you settling? And this is why I said to you, and this is why I prefaced this live with my initial monologue, which is women can afford to not get married today without facing any severe consequences or repercussions thereof. Because why? Because they're not going to die if they don't get married, as they may well have back in the day, 100 years ago, when it was genuinely women needed to get married to be safe. She needed to be under the protection of a man. That's one of the reasons, not the whole story, but one of the reasons why women can afford to be like this. And it's really sad. We're going to continue with the video. Ilyas, I appreciate the super chat, my man. Thank you for the 10 euro super chat, Achi. We've got 755 of you in here. Hit that like. Barakallahu feekum. And if you want to join the stream, you can. I've put the link in the chat. You can get in the queue. And once we're done with this, I'll bring you in. I'm going to mute myself. Hopefully that you guys let me know, but I don't know if it will.
marriage, like, and she's like, there's no point of even committing to something if you know that there's no potential like long term. So she's like, I'd rather just be single until, and she's in her 30s, so
yeah. I feel like before, like in our parents' generation, when they would get married, it's not necessarily they think it's the person of their dreams. It's just like, this is good for now. And I feel like before, marriage was more like
I completely
a bit of
agree with
codependency. Like, for example,
100%.
the man would rely on the woman to maintain a household because he couldn't do that for
100%.
himself, but the woman will rely on him financially because women weren't as educated.
And when you think about it now, the roles are kind of like blurred.
Exactly.
Like, it's blurred lines.
Yeah.
That's very true, because like I think with our parents' generation, like you said, it was super like, I do this, you do that. These are our distinguished roles, you know?
Yeah.
Now it's like, you're not going to tell me to stay at home. I'm going to go get my bag. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, which is good.
You see this nonsense? And I'm glad the mute made it better for you guys. You ain't gonna tell me what to do. Yeah, I'm gonna try and soften my tone a little bit today, because I'm dealing with younger sisters. I'm gonna soften my tone a little bit. Sister, I advise you, wallahi, you bring that mentality to a man that you want to marry, can't tell me what to do, that's what you're gonna receive in return. And another one. What? What are you talking about? Yeah, so then for what is he gonna marry you for? You can't be obedient, you can't be submissive, you can't tell you what to do. Then what use are you? A sperm receptacle? Respectfully. And what else? You can't be his peace. You don't want to submit. You can't be his peace, which is what men value above all things, above beauty and everything. Peace, raha nafsiyya. I know men who have left beautiful women, incredible intimacy, because she couldn't give him peace. She couldn't be his peace. And this is what I'm saying, man, like, respectfully to the younger generation, and I know it sounds patronizing coming from an older, oh, you youngsters. I really don't mean it like that. But you guys, you know a lot of things that I don't know about. Stick to that stuff. Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite, or whatever else it is. Respectfully, stay in your lane. Makeup, whatever else you guys do. Stay in your lane. This relationship stuff is not for you. I told you, I feel shy talking about it sometimes because I know I'm still relatively young. I feel shy talking about it, were it not for my background. Let's continue.
But at the same time, I get like why people can find confusion in marriage. You know?
I feel like people, like you said something really good, like people, like our parents would just focus on the now, like this is good for now, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like our generation, or like these future generations that are coming up, there's always more. Like we're always taught that there should be more, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like thinking, actually, what if you know how some people meet someone and they're just like, but I don't know, there could be better out there. But
yeah, basically
you know
this idea of not wanting to settle. But I feel like also men and women are on two different like planets.
Yeah, 100%.
Like in terms of, and I feel like especially, I think we're going to speak more on the Muslim community because that's where we're from. But like, I feel like a lot of the girls now are very like well educated, very successful, and they're not meeting their match.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. Ilyas, I appreciate that. Akhi, shout out man for the €5 super chat. Wallahi, this is the cancer that our ummah suffers from. We're going to talk about it. She said, I feel like women are more educated today than their masculine counterparts. She's actually right. I'm going to put up an article for you guys real quick. I'm going to take a quick break whilst I pull this up for you. And I was listening to Jordan Peterson the other day talk about the exact same thing. So let me bring this up for you guys real quick. Let's stop this screen. Excuse me. Chrome tab. All right. I'm not going to go through the whole article, but I'm just going to show you briefly. All right. Yes, I'm happy. What do all these economically unattractive men tell us about marriage? Okay. I hope you feminists are happy. You've finally gone and done it. You throttled the supply of high-earning husbands, and now there are severe mismatches in the marriage market. Yes, I regret to report that a study in the Journal of Marriage and Family has found that unmarried American women face overall shortages of economically attractive partners. Women are looking for husbands with an income 58% higher than those of the available men. All right. Now, I'm not going to go into it too much because it's a distraction from what I really want to talk about with you guys here. But my point is this, is that yes, women are graduating in university at a higher rate than men. More women are granted in subjects that largely don't matter, social sciences and so on. They're not graduating predominantly from the STEM fields, but nevertheless, they're graduating, point blank, period. And I was listening to a fascinating conversation between Dr. Warren Farrell today and Patrick Bet-David. And he was speaking about the so-called gender wage gap. And he mentioned that from 1975 until now, the gender pay gap has been revolved exclusively around married men and women, not single men and women. Why the distinction? Single and childless women have out-earned 75% of men from 1975 until now, in comparison to single childless men. Single childless women out-earn single childless men. The disparity happens when men and women get married, and it's not because of inequality. It's because the burden of performance falls upon a man when he gets married, he has children, and so on and so forth. So as a result of that, men tend to leave the professions that they like, that they enjoy, that they might have a natural proclivity towards. Maybe they enjoy it, teaching, for example, because it doesn't pay enough money. And then he goes into a profession that will pay more money so that he can look after his wife and children. Whereas women, when a woman gets married, she has the luxury of being able to potentially give up her highly stressful, high-powered career in law, for example, and choose something she enjoys more, which definitely pays less, but she enjoys it more. So maybe she gives up being a lawyer for becoming a nursery teacher because she enjoys that. Hence why, on a like-for-like basis, under that lens, women will earn less by choice, not by compulsion. Do you understand? Dude Desi, Habibi, I appreciate the $5 super chat. Why are we listening to these women again? The reason why, my man, is because lots of young people are also listening to them. And it's important that we dissect. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this article. I know this woman here is a feminist as well. I understand, guys. I'm just simply pointing out to you that women are finding men wholesale across the board more economically unattractive because women are pursuing their educations more and earning more in general. But that doesn't stop them being hypergamous and wanting their superiors. They still want their superiors. Thank you. They still want their superiors. We have 900 odd of you in here. 900. And how many likes? How many likes we got? 900 and only 94 likes. Hit that like. You know what? Hit the dislike. I don't even care. Hit the dislike. You don't like what I'm saying? Hit the dislike. Let's get back into the dissection. 30 plus age, never married, tells you you're in zina. Not necessarily SNA. Not necessarily. All right, let's share the screen again. Okay. Let me mute myself so we don't hear no.
When it comes to guys, I feel like a lot of the guys in our generation aren't as successful. Like when it comes to like Dean stuff, I was going to say just dunya related, but like, for example, in terms of like education, finances, and then even in terms of like knowing your Dean, I feel like with guys, they're either like one spectrum or the other. It's very hard to find guys who are like so practicing, but like, okay,
this goes back to what I said earlier. I partially agree with the sister here in that men or boys have been raised as defective girls, as dysfunctional girls. So a large percentage, I can't say an exact number, I don't know if it's a majority or a minority, but a large percentage of millennial and Gen Z men in particular, are coming across as unattractive to women. They've been raised as defective girls. They've had their balls stripped from them, their masculinity stripped from them. They've been told that to be a man, to be masculine is bad, but they can't exactly be a woman either. So they become this Frankenstein species in the middle, and they're attractive to nobody. The lost boy generation, as Jordan Peterson coined it. The lost boy generation. So yes, it's one of the side effects. I agree to.
The guys who are practicing, they're either like these crazy guys on social media commenting on girls' posts like you're going to hell, or like, oh my God, proper practicing where it's like they're not really for you, or like there's guys who are like they're just a bit wild. So
do you guys like agree with that term? Like you have to find the right halal to haram ratio. I feel like a lot of people have said it.
I think it's the word halal to haram ratio is not really nice word to use, but I do understand that you need to find someone on your wavelength. Like when you're looking for someone, you shouldn't find someone who's like 10 steps ahead of you in terms of like their level of practicing, because you'll find it hard to like be balanced with them. So for example, if there's a guy who's like a proper like student of knowledge, really practicing, works in the mosque, and you're not there, you might admire that, but you don't really relate, and you might find it difficult for you guys to be compatible in terms of you have two different mindsets.
Yeah, I do think though that it should like that sometimes actually when someone is a bit better than you in your deen, it's good.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember you saying you wanted someone more practicing.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
More
Because
religious.
I feel like if you have someone like less religious as you or just the same, it's like you kind of you're at risk of like going, because obviously iman goes up and down. So like if you're having low iman and they're having low iman, it's easy for you guys to slip. But if you have someone who's like a bit more firm than you, or like in
What did I say on the podcast with our brother Muhammad Hijab the other day? That even in deen, women are hypergamous. Even in deen, women want their superiors across the board. Everywhere. Everywhere. And in this instance, I agree with her. Because why? Once again, generally speaking, a woman is under the guidance, is under the leadership of a man. If the man is deficient in his deen in comparison to her, in all likelihood, she will probably become deficient as well. Her iman will probably decrease because he's the captain of the ship. So I stand by what I said the other day. Even in deen, she wants someone who is at least a little bit more practicing than her. Now, she mentioned the halal to haram ratio. She doesn't want someone too practicing because she wants to express her liberal values in some way, shape, or form. Still want to go have my shisha every now and again, or whatever the case may be. So, and it can't be too much. Bas, my point is, she still wants someone who's at least a little bit more practicing than her. At least a little bit more practicing than her. SNA, some uni Muslims are having their fun before nikah. Yeah, I mean, bro, who are they having their fun with? Muslim men. Do you understand? Or maybe non-Muslim men as well. I'm just simply saying this business of zina is not just on the girls. The pendulum swings both ways. Although I will agree that a minority of men are doing most of the zina. Let's put it that way. A minority of men are doing most of the zina. A minority of men have access to, or have sexual access to, the majority of women. It's the way it's always been, by the way. Pareto principle. It's the way it's always been. Haram is haram, halal is halal. What is this halal haram ratio? Why would any amount of haram be acceptable? I agree with you in principle, dude Desi. I'm simply saying this. If a sister, she's a Muslimah, but she doesn't wear hijab, she's going to struggle with a brother who insists that his wife wears niqab. Why? Because she doesn't wear hijab. So I agree with you in principle, bro. I'm simply explaining to you what they are trying to articulate. When I first heard this term, I heard it a year ago. I laughed. I was like, what? Fam, what is this? Why do you want to be like a bit haram? What the flip are you talking about?
This is number one bullshit.
But as it was explained to me, I began to understand more and more where it came from. Okay, well, is what it is. Yallah, let's continue. I'm going to mute my... Oh, wait, let's get the super chat out real quick. Melvin Wateran, I appreciate the €5 super chat. For some people, Islam is just fashion, flavor of the month. Their women are the perfect example. I'm not too sure if I understand it completely, but yes, in principle, for some people, Islam is fashionable. Okay, we're going to fast forward this now. I've got the timestamps on my screen. We're going to come over to 9 minutes and 50 seconds. Let's start it from here. Mute my mic and get going.
Especially the topic of marriage is not at the forefront of my mind, like at all. And I know people around me are like getting married, having kids, whatever, but I just thinking about getting married, even in the next 2 years, sounds wild right now. And I don't know. It's not a thing like I don't want to. I'm not opposed to it. Like if I meet the right person, of course. But for me, like I think going back to what you said, this generation, like for me, I also think I want to be financially stable. I want to have.
All right, let's just stop that real quick. She's going to get into the whole boss babe crap in a second. These sisters, all of them are 21 to 23. The beginning of the podcast, they give their ages. They're born between 97 and 99, I believe. So they're in their early 20s. This sister who's speaking right now in pink is in her prime. And I got a message for you directly. I don't know what your name is, sister, but this message is for you. Privilege is invisible to those who have it. Privilege is invisible to those who have it. You are in a privileged position right now. And by that, I mean, you are in your prime. You're moderately good looking. And no doubt you're getting messages, DMs left and right from brothers trying to either marry you or even just hook up with you, whatever the case may be. Take you out as a girlfriend. The point is this, you're getting plenty of interest. You think this is going to continue forever.
You sick in the mind? Are you that mentally enslaved and intellectually subservient and intellectually molested and ideologically molested?
Do you really think this is going to continue forever? Do you really think you are going to get as much interest from the opposite sex, from men, forever? Do you really think that? You are in your prime. The time to strike is now. You think it's wild to get married? Habibti, let me tell you, if you don't strike right now whilst the iron is hot and you are in your prime, you're gonna have major you're gonna be on Kevin Samuel's show. Getting slapped left and right. You're gonna be on his show in 10 years' time, asking him, where are all the good men? So my advice to you, sister, is strike now whilst the iron is hot, whilst you have interest, and pattern up your hijab in the process.
I want to travel. Like I want to do so many things, and I know you can do it with your other half. I know.
I need to talk about this. I want to travel. I want to do. Let me tell you something. You know what? Yeah. Once again, I have to give credit where credit is due. Kevin Samuels made this point, and it's very interesting listening to the conversations he has with older women. And one of the conversations he had in one of his monologues actually was that nothing is new with you women. This is what I was like, flipping hell, that's profound. You've traveled everywhere. You've done everything. You've bought everything you've wanted within your financial limits. So when another man comes along who's earning roughly the same as you, he can't give you anything new. Everything is old. Everything's the same. Nothing's new to you. You can't even pretend that you enjoy or that you appreciate this new thing he's given you. You can't even pretend. Even that's too much for you. So you're going to go and travel the world and do this, that, and the third. And then when you get married and then your husband takes you to Dubai, takes you to the Maldives, takes you to wherever, buys you that ring, gets you that handbag. Oh, thanks. Oh, that's nice. Whereas a girl who's not experienced any of that, why did Dr. Zakir Naik advise his son? I advise you, my son, marry a poor girl. Wallahi, that was his advice. Marry a poor girl. Why? She'll appreciate everything you give her more. And you marry a girl, at least let's say not poor, just the average girl, and she hasn't done any of this stuff, and you take her to the Maldives, you buy her that nice handbag, you get her that nice watch, because remember, men want to give, but we want to be appreciated at the same time. We want to give to you, but we do want to be appreciated. And you get her that, and you give her that. Wow, oh my God, so amazing. Because why? She's never had it before. Fresh. Still in its packaging, in its wrapping, untouched. Like, do you understand? Easy to please. But you go through all of these experiences yourself. By the time you get married, everything's old to you. Nothing's new. It's like, well, I did that. We got 830 of you in here. Hit the like. Jazakumullah khair.
Know that, but at the same time, I kind of like having this like almost independence right now. Do you know what I mean? And I just feel like meeting a guy right now or even in the next few years, of course it'll be great, but I mean, I'm not like hone in on it. Like I'm not I'm not like focusing on it. Do you understand? And I feel like most of the time when you don't focus on things so much, like good things come to you. You know, when you're like really fixated on something, sometimes you like push it away because you're like always fixating on it. That's the perfect thing could like walk right past you, and you're so, like we were saying, fixated on one thing that you won't even realize like that could be your perfect person. And yeah, so I'm not really like looking like that. Like I'm just living. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like, as well, like being 30 and being not married, like I don't understand. Like I understand why people would be like, oh, that's a bit weird or whatever. But at the same time, I don't understand it, because it's like, why would you get married to someone just for the sake, like really think of it, like you're gonna marry someone just to say, oh, I'm married. Like, you know, people actually do that.
Shut up, your mouse, Obama. And this is why we're doing this video today. This is why I'm taking this video. Because people who should not be talking about relationships and marriage, people who have never been married, have never been in a relationship, are out here giving advice on marriage and relationships like you've lived that life. As if you've lived that life. As if you know what it feels like to be 30 and unmarried. Brother Gabriella Romani, Brother Jibril, he put a post up on his community posting the other day. Some 32-year-old sister. She said, I'm having panic. I'm 32 years old. I'm struggling to get married. I'm having panic attacks, like stress, anxiety. Sister, you don't know what it feels like to be 32, unable to compete with the 22-year-old girls, you, and desperately wanting to get married. 3 years left on your clock until you hit geriatric pregnancy, high-risk pregnancy. That's a stressful time for a woman. It's a stressful time for a woman to be 32 years old, unmarried, never had children, never been married, only got a few good years left on her clock, on her baby clock. I did a video a few months ago now, that your eggs are old by 30. Type it up on my channel. Your eggs are old, bust down by 30. Not even 35. New research that has shed light on this. You don't have time. I can't emphasize this enough to the young sisters who are watching. You don't have time. You don't have that type of time. A 29-year-old man, a 30-year-old man, a 31-year-old man, he's not on the same timeline as you. You're 20 years apart. He starts thinking like that later on. Now, of course, as Muslims, we tend to get married younger, but it's very common. You see it all the time. Older non-Muslim men in their 40s still not married and not worried about it either. And planning to have kids in his 50s because he can. Has his sperm quality reduced by 50? Yes. But is he still fertile? Yes, as well. How many 50-year-old women do you know who've had children? Please tell me, billahi. I'd love to meet them, man. Stop talking about things that don't concern you, or you don't have the experience, knowledge. You don't have the right.
Go wash your ass.
Really? Yeah, I need to stop. Just stop.
I think that's like where pressure comes in, like as in,
yeah, like I'm saying from my community, like the Asian community, like the time's ticking, clock's like moving, like why are you not married, why are you not? And people, for example, I'm gonna be real, my dad, like he left it really, really late, and it got to the point where my grandma was like, hello, like I want to see grandchildren before I die, like hello. And then my dad kind of like almost not was pressured, but he kind of was like, oh my god.
You know, I wouldn't typically stop a stream for a £2 super chat, but this is a good point. Shout out to FA9082. Everyone gets the spouse they deserve, including none. 100 on the money, bro.
God, like,
I have
do you know
to,
what I mean? So it's not a thing where it was like he was. Yeah, I feel like if he didn't meet my mom, he probably wouldn't ever really get married, because he in his mind he was like, I don't even care for like being married.
I think that it's I do agree with the fact that like marriage shouldn't be marriage.
And let me speak for that real quick. Again, this is a false equivalency. we can't say with any certainty until we've actually spoken to her father that he never really wanted to get married. We're just going to have to take her word for it. And I find it unlikely. But men are on a different timeline. That's for sure. Men are on a different timeline. Just because biologically we're different. Women have got to get their life in order by 30. Like, it's got to be like on lock by 30, which is why, by the way, women tend to become more necessitous after the age of 25. They realize if they want to have children, they need to hurry up and get their move on because time is running out. Time is running out. She becomes more necessitous. I was listening to a podcast with the roommates, Hafiz, that he conducted with Dr. Jordan Peterson. And Peterson said it without even clocking it. He said, I got into my late 20s and I knew my wife, Tammy, she wasn't his wife at the time, of course, since we were kids, but she was really pushing for us to get married all of a sudden. They're the same age. And he didn't clock what he was saying. Yes, women in their late 20s, early 30s suddenly push men to marry them. Why? Because she has to. If she wants to have kids, she has to flip and get that piece of the puzzle, that equation, patterned up quick time. Whereas a man in his late 20s, early 30s, he's not under the same time pressure. He's not under the same time pressure.
It's not the be and end all, but I do feel like I feel like with our generation, they are.
Once again, I hate this statement. It's not that marriage is not the be all and end all, as if you're actually saying something. That's like saying oxygen is not the be all and end all. Breathing is not the be all and end all. Yeah, no shit, it's not the be all and end all. No kidding. But if you don't breathe, you die. It's kind of important. I know it's not the be all and end all, but this is like a statement trying to take away from the importance of something. Yes, it's not the be all and end all, but that's a meaningless statement. No oxygen, death. You don't get married, misery. Miserable. The most miserable demographic of women are 40-plus-year-old women who are earning $100,000 a year plus and are single and childless. That's the most miserable demographic of man or woman. Yes, it's not the be-all and end-all, but it sure is bloody important.
Or were so fixated on being like independent, and like for women, I feel like they're focused on being independent and established for themselves, that when it's got to the point of getting married, like when it came to the point where they're open to marriage, it hasn't happened for them, or it's like they haven't found someone now that they've established themselves that kind of meet what they want. Like, you know, the older you get, the more your expectations are a bit higher because you've done a bit better for yourself. If that makes sense.
Did you hear that? From the horse's mouth. No disrespect to the sister, I'm not calling you a horse. It's a figure of speech. From the horse's mouth. The older you get, the more established you become, the higher your expectations. What were we talking about the other day? That older women, not only are they now less desirable to the mass of men, but they have higher expectations than the more desirable women, the more desirable younger women. Why? Because she's lived more of life. She's probably achieved more. She's got her degree, maybe her master's. She's progressed in her career and her job, and she's still hypergamous, baby. You heard it from the horse's mouth. For anyone who disagrees with that statement, older women tend to have higher expectations than younger women. The irony. They have, on a surface level, less to offer. And I say surface level because there are obviously other elements to consider in a woman, not just her looks. But on a surface level, looks are important to a man. She has less to offer in the way of her beauty and fertility. And at the same time, that is coupled with her demanding more. And that is why by 2030, Morgan Stanley have predicted in their article, The Rise of the She Economy, that 45%, nearly half of all women, will be single and childless between the ages of 25 to 44. That's prime age working women. Nearly half of them will be single and childless. That's why. That's why. Dude Desi, shout out to you, Abdul Hamid, for the $10 super chat. Women can't be allowed to think for themselves due to their nature of being overcome by their emotions. This will come across as a extremely patronizing statement, no doubt, to some women, but there is truth in this. Women left to their own devices, completely unfettered hypergamy, completely unfettered, out of control, left to their own devices, will wreak chaos, mayhem, havoc. Yes, that much I agree with. It needs to be put in check. They need to be constantly in check. They need to be under the guardianship of a man, from father to husband or brother to husband. That I completely agree with.
And then it gets difficult to meet someone, but I feel like there needs to be like a bit of a balance, and that's why I said like millennials specifically, because I think we were the first generation to like try and figure this out for ourselves, like balance this whole like making it and like being independent, and also trying to like stick to like cultural values, Islamic values and stuff. So I feel like Gen Z will definitely learn from our mistakes. I feel like a lot of people kind of not left it too late, but they were so focused on like being independent and not making the same mistakes as their like parents that they put marriage right to the back, where I don't think that's a good thing either.
Yeah, but
before we let her get to her but, and remember, everything before but is BS, meaning she's going to say, yeah, I agree, but I don't agree. This is how women communicate, by the way. It's funny to hear women communicate, because the way they'll disagree with each other is by saying, yeah, I agree, but it's a funny conversation. But the sister is spitting. She's spitting facts right now. She's saying, you know, I'm seeing women older than myself having pursued their careers, having got that job raise or that pay raise and achieved their career ambitions, but then they're struggling to get married. Sister's clocking it. Maybe she's been watching a bit of Kevin Samuels, I don't know. But she's clocking it and she's seeing it. And then you're about to hear our feminist sister in the middle here say, yeah, but. So let's get to the but.
I don't know, like, I agree with you, but I don't know if I also disagree with you in a sense that
what did I tell you? I agree with you, but
stop the cap.
You don't agree. Well, you don't stop the cap, fam. Why are you capping? I agree, but I disagree. Wallah, it's funny listening to this. Muhammad, I can see you there. Muhammad Qasim, I can see you laughing there, bro.
I think if that makes you happy, then
that's fine. Yeah. If you don't want to, if you don't want to get married, that's fine. But I think people get to the stage where they.
It makes me itchy. I get itchy when I hear this stuff. No, your happiness is irrelevant. Let me tell you, your happiness is irrelevant. And this is why, gentlemen, trying to make a woman happy is a fool's errand. It's a fool's errand. I'm not saying you shouldn't wish for your woman to be happy, but I am saying running to make her happy is a fool's errand. Because why? Because their happiness is, oh, this makes me happy. No, that doesn't make me happy anymore. Whatever makes you happy, girl. Do you know what makes me happy? Let me tell you something. Do you know what would really make me happy right now? For me to be able to sleep with as many women as I like without having to commit to any of them. That would make me very happy. And I would be ecstatic, over the moon. Should I now go and do it? Happiness is not important. Happiness is not important. Service, sacrifice, that's important. And the side effect of service and sacrifice is happiness. Happiness is like chasing a shadow. You'll never catch it. You'll never catch your shadow. But turn your back on it and it will have no choice but to follow you. Pursue purpose, service, excellence, and so on. Sacrifice. And the side effect of that is happiness. Abdul Hamid, I agree, but I disagree. One reason why I don't debate women. 100, bro. 100.
Do want to get married.
Right, okay, yeah.
But you, like...
But I feel like for people that just are happy right now with where they're at, I know you're saying, like, of course, maybe they would want to get married, but if putting their career or whatever makes them happy, like, right now, do you understand? Like, and that's what they want to focus on. I don't feel like it's like a thing.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that if you care about your career and you don't care about marriage, it's a problem. Not everyone wants to get married in life. That's fine. But I'm saying that if you're so focused and not being dependent on a man and not facing the same issues that our parents' generation focused on, like had, that when it comes to marriage, you've left it late, as in like you want to get married, but you focus on other things.
If you're like, if you want to get
now, this sister's just gonna spit it out right. She's gonna say it outright. The sister in the hijab and the abaya. But again, shout out to the sister. She understands what the time is like. Yeah, the happiness thing. Yeah, I get it. But you know what? Yeah, you're pursuing your career that might make you happy in the moment, but how does it make you feel long term? You see, we have two different types of happiness now. You often hear, for example, of kids who get married young. They regret that they got married young whilst they're young. Whilst they are still young, they're like, oh, I wish I got married a bit older. But guess what? Once they get past 30 and 40 and they look at their peers and how many of them are still unmarried and miserable as a result, they are extremely grateful that they got married young. Extremely grateful. I got married at 16. I had 3 kids by 19. Was it hard? You bet it was hard. Am I happy that I did now? Yes, I grew up with my son like he's my brother. It's like my brother's, no difference, nearly my height as well. It's like we're brothers. This business of pursuing happiness is nonsense. And to the young man in the chat right now, chasing to make a woman happy is a fool's errand, because her happiness is subject to her emotions and how she's feeling at that moment. And oftentimes, it's intricately linked to her hormonal cycle. What time of the month is it? I'm not joking. You don't believe me? Read the book by Marty Hazelton, Hormonal. Read that book and you will find out. Oftentimes, it's connected to that. She feels like she wants this in that moment, but the next week, no, I don't really want that anymore. But you're still trying to give her what she wanted last week, this week, and it's not doing nothing for her. And then you're wondering why. You're wondering why your simping doesn't work. Jamal, appreciate the $6.99 super chat. Mahdi, how can I call you right now? Jamal, I'm going to put another link in the stream. You can join. There's a queue that you can join the call, the queue. But again, we've got a lot to get through right now. So I'll put the link in the stream. Once again, you're welcome to hang about in the backstage. Oops. You're welcome to hang about backstage until I shisma. Yeah. I can't pin it in the bio right now, guys. For some reason, it's not allowing me to, because this was a scheduled shisma. Okay. Right. Let's continue.
Married, but then you've just been like, no, I don't want to be like them. I want to do this, and then you're like 35 or something.
Yeah, I think it's balance.
I definitely agree. I think growing up, I think when I was, when I was young, when I was like around like 8 years old, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait until I finish school at 15 so I can just be at home. But the more I got older, the more I was like,
the more like, be at home.
Yeah, but the more I got older, the more I was like, no, I need to be like, like a boss. Like I need to I need to make my career. Like my career is everything. But now I feel like getting older, and the more that I'm like, just figuring out my own self, I feel like, yeah, a career is nice, but it's not what I don't feel like it's everything. And I feel like focusing on one element of your life more than another thing is always going to cause a detriment.
I love how politically correct women are when they talk with each other. You know what? I don't even criticize them for it. Imagine they were combative and straightforward like men. It would be manly. So she's trying to say something, but she's trying to couch it under the pretext of its balance. No, but she's absolutely right. Women don't gain the same satisfaction from conquering. That's what it is. Men today might not be conquering countries, but women for that matter as well. But we're conquering, I don't know, the raise, your pay raise, or your job promotion, or your business. It's still a type of conquering, and women just don't get the same satisfaction that men do. It's a manly thing. It's a manly attribute. Men get that satisfaction from conquering, from expanding borders. Women don't. They've seen it. They've tried it. They've done it. The results are in. From 1960 to now, women have reported to us who have conquered that I am not happy because I am single and I wish I had children. I wish I had my children. I sacrificed having children so that I could conquer the workplace, and I conquered it. I beat out the competition, and I didn't have kids because if I had kids, that would set me back years in the workplace. I sacrificed that, and guess what? I'm miserable. Why? Because women don't get that same satisfaction. Women don't get that same satisfaction that men do. It's a masculine thing. And she's right. And that's what I said to you. There are elements of this podcast where they are right. It's correct. They're sensing it. They're seeing it. They're feeling it. They're looking at their older peers, girls my age, and they're seeing they're miserable. They're freaking miserable. And I hope these younger girls clock it and do something about it.
I feel like your life is made out of so many different components, and having them all in balance is what is key. Because I feel like we're growing in a place or a city where your job, your career, what you do is so pivotal. Like now, even for women, it's like, I don't know, I feel like we've now focused on that a lot more, but I feel like we should also actually think about actually how is my family doing? As my relationship with them okay? Is my, like there's so many different things rather than just a job, because what if that one area that you focus on so much just crashes? Do you know what I mean? And that's the same thing with a marriage. Like if you focus so much on a marriage, maybe that's what our previous generations have done, where you focus solely on a marriage, you put all your cards on that, then that's when it, I think it's all about keeping that balance. And I think the problem is in our generations is like the fact that there are so many I can speak for Muslim women. I don't know the issues that are facing.
FA9082, shout out for the £5 super chat. They complain no good guys, that there's no good guys, but don't act right when they meet a good guy. They have a long checklist for the man, but never think, what does he want? Yes, there is a lot of truth in this. There is a lot of truth in this. There is a lot of truth in this. There is a lot of truth in this.
Muslim men, but I know for a lot of Muslim women that I've like older than me that would now want to get married but are not able to because of like kind of like a checklist. But I don't want to say that checklist is bad, because obviously there are things that should be a non-negotiable for you. But I don't know, I feel like now because of this culture that we have of like, a man is gonna cause your independence to like hinder. But I think at the end of the day, a marriage is around being dependent on each other, and that's not a bad thing. It's about like, at the end of the day, you're going in life as partners and your guys are going on through this journey. It's about choosing to go to a journey through with someone, but it's about, at the end of the day, finding that right person.
See, it's really interesting to hear them talk. And there is an element of codependency on a relationship. I depend on my wife to take care of the children, to do most of the stuff with the children, particularly the younger ones. I do depend on her for that. So that she can depend on me to do what I do. There is an element of codependency, for sure. That's not a beta statement, gentlemen. There is an element of codependency. Is it a partnership? No, it's not a partnership. It's a headship. Headship, not partnership. We are not equal partners. If we were equal partners, there'd be two steering wheels in the car. And when I go right, you'd want to go left and we'd crash the car. We're not equal partners. It's not equal partnership. It's a headship. Does she have a say? Can she express her opinion? Of course. I've said this before and I'll say it again many times. My wife sees things that I don't. Why? Because her mind is wired differently. She thinks differently. She sees things differently. And I benefit from that. So yes, but ultimately there can only be one driver, one CEO, one general, one king, on and on and on and on, one president. You understand? It's not an equal partnership. It's a headship.
I don't know. I feel
think
like
people nowadays don't really understand. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're in such a grind culture, which has made us feel like basically our job is so like, I was talking to one of my friends about this, and she was saying how like she's very like well educated and she got married and she hasn't started working yet, and she was like, for some, like it makes her feel like she hasn't achieved anything like at the moment, like at being a stay-at-home housewife, even though she's so educated, Allahumma barik. But it's like you've put so much value on your job and your career that when you take that away, you almost feel like, what do I have? Do you know what I mean? Like, our careers are important, like it's good to like be established and stuff, but it's not everything. And like, for example, I feel like that's why now, like friendship culture and like cut-off culture. That's why it's such a thing, because we haven't nurtured.
See that? Wallahi, women are starting to clock it. And again, shout out to the sister, Mutahajjiba sister. Hopefully the other two sisters can take from her example. They're starting to clock it. Career success and all of that stuff doesn't make me happy. I don't want to be working forever. Hell no. He can do that. Women are not wired for it. Or they're certainly, I'm not saying they can't do it. Of course they can do it, but they're not wired to enjoy it. That's my point here. Men enjoy it. Men enjoy the grind, the hardship, like the struggle. There's an element of pleasure to be taken from it as a man, not as a woman. A woman enjoys her children, raising and rearing her children. And that's a hardship in and of itself, by the way. I hate being bothered at night by the screams of the baby. My wife has the patience for it, though. She has patience that I don't for the child. And that's a hardship. She is built for that better than I am. She can cope with that better than I can. She has more patience for it. But I am built for the hardship and struggle of pushing forward in career. When I say I mean men. Career, business, work, whatever the case may be. We gain enjoyment from that, and we complement each other accordingly. We come together and complement each other accordingly. Rashid Al-Khuzaima, you are doing great work, Brother Mahdi. I appreciate it, my man. Shukran, Habibi Rashid Khuzaima. I appreciate all the super chats, by the way. Thank you for showing your support with the super chats, ladies and gentlemen. I much appreciate it. All right, let's mute this again and carry on.
Like our friendships, we haven't nurtured family relationships. Everyone's like, everyone's family's toxic and blah 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 and whatever. And it's like we focus so much on careers. I think we've gone wrong.
Yeah,
I definitely feel like we've gone wrong in that sense. And I feel
I
like
don't think we're not, like, as humans, we're not just careers. We're not meant to be in this life just for like a job.
No, I do agree, but going off the back of what you just said, with everyone,
they're spitting, but then we have to have the butt, sister. How about that? Take that for a butt. These two sisters are right. They are correct. They are right. But the sister in the middle, she's struggling. She's fine. It's just like, it's a bitter pill. The pill is big and bulky and chalky, and it's just getting stuck in the throat. Women are realizing, no, it's like, I don't want to work for the rest of my life. It's still, no. Men enjoy that stuff, though. Women, no. And I've said this before, by the way, to the gentlemen, to the men. Retirement is a myth. Ansel mawdu'. No such thing. You retire when you're dead. Can you imagine you retire? Bro, what are you going to do? I was thinking to myself the other day, if I would retire now, what the French toast would I do? What the falafel would I do? I'd self-destruct in my mind. There has to be continual service, giving. There's too much to do, too much to achieve, too many lives that we have to impact. Rest when you're dead. Retire. That's not a flex, bro. Retirement is not a flex. That's nothing to shout about. If you mean you're financially taken care of, I get that. That's fine. But keep going, persevere, continue. Retirement's not a flex. It's not a goal. Dude, Desi.
Stop.
Appreciate the $20 super chat, Abdul Hamid. You give women equality, they find something else to complain about. You give a woman X, she complains why X, why not Y. And what Abdul Hamid is referring to here is absolutely true. The fastest way to make a woman miserable is to give her everything she wants. The fastest way to make a woman miserable is to give her everything she wants. That's why I said trying to make your woman happy is a fool's errand. Am I saying that you should never take her out and buy her chocolates and all the rest of it every now and again and do something nice for her? Of course you should do those things. But to make your life revolve around making her happy, that's a fool's errand, because she doesn't know what makes her happy.
everyone thinks everyone's toxic and etc. I feel like also apps don't really help that, because being on like social media and stuff, what you consume on a daily basis is like, oh, this person's toxic. Oh my God, I'm moving out my mom's house. And like people on, like, for example, even like TikTok, like the videos they make, it's like everyone's depressed and lonely, and it's like to be happy is like out of the ordinary. Do you know what I mean? To be depressed is like the normal, like, and if you're happy, people are like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? It's like we're consuming that everyone's depressed, and and on TikTok everyone's like fighting their parents. I saw a video of this girl that posted her mom literally like throwing her whole room upside down, and I was just like, like, I know it's, if you want to post that, that's fine, but I'm just saying, like, is that what it's come to? Do you know what I mean? Like, we post the stuff online.
The things that are,
I don't know, like, I just, yeah, like, true, and everyone's always like, trauma, ha, like, they just, like, everyone's, like, laughing through the pain.
Think people don't really understand how to find the balance. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I know you said that the Gen Z generation will figure out, but I don't know. I'm not too sure.
No, not in terms of everything, but I think in terms of understanding that, like career isn't everything. Like, they found ways to like make multiple streams of income, work smarter and not harder, and like enjoy your, like, live your best life and that kind of thing. I feel like a lot of us, like a lot of people have like been so focused on their careers that they've abandoned themselves, and that's why like
their life.
That's why mental health is like such a big thing, and that's why a lot of people suffer with mental health issues now, whether it's not like on the highest spectrum of like schizoaffective disorders, but like for example, like anxiety, depression, feeling like extreme loneliness. Like, you're living in one of the busiest cities in the world and you're experiencing loneliness. Like,
oh my god, that's so true.
Yeah, I feel like we've really got it wrong, because
shout out to this sister Siham Kadur. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Jazakallah khair for the €20 super chat. As a woman who has always felt insecure about not having a lot of money and felt judged by a lot of women living to take care of my family and my house and my friends, I really, really appreciate from this from you, Brother Mahdi. You are most welcome, Sister Siham. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And what I will say is this, sister. Believe me, when you're being criticized by those other women, understand that their criticism is couched in envy. Let me say that again. Their criticism is couched in envy. They envy that, mashallah, you're happy and you have your family, and you might not have a lot of money, but you're getting by, alhamdulillah, you know? And they might have a lot more money than you, but it doesn't make her happy. So what does a person do, never mind the woman, when they are envious? They criticize. And understand, this is a fundamental law of human nature. When people criticize, often they criticize, excuse me, I just bit my tongue. Often their criticism is couched and rooted in envy. They are envious for what you have. Remember that. Barakallahu feek. Let's continue. Actually, we've got another super chat here. Let me just get to it real quick before we continue. Dude, Desi, once again, Habibi, Abdul Hamid, Jazakallah khair for the $10 super chat. My man, always supporting the channel. I hate having nothing to do, even on my day offs. I seek business. I know I would go insane if I retired, even if I was a billionaire. Absolutely, Akhi. Retirement for a man is a myth. It's absolute nonsense.
Focus on this boss lady, independent thing, that we've abandoned everything else. Like, and we see like, oh, like, I'm gonna get my bag. I'm not gonna let no man stop me. Like that. That doesn't make sense.
Or also, if for instance, like what you're talking about with your friend, and like then with social media, like, you know, on social media, you have to, if a woman has to like post that she's a mother, like everyone glorifies a mother who works, has to do everything, and then it's like you're doing good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like once a woman does everything, like
you've achieved that.
That's when
standard,
you're not like, you're being a mom, you're doing this, but like once, I just feel like that's not okay.
It's too much.
It's too much,
It
and
is.
sometimes
It is. We need to like normalize that it's not normal.
And it's also, who are you doing this for?
And I appreciate the sister saying that. You see, because we've gotten to the point now where we are glorifying single mums. Now, let me make a distinction here. If a sister's husband has passed away and she's a widow, separate section for her. Al-ayn wal-ras, ala rasi. Separate section for her. I am talking about the great mass of women who pull the plugs on their marriages because they're simply discontent. They're discontent. And then we glorify their struggles, and they are struggling. I'm not denying that. It's hard raising kids on your own. It's hard work. Especially as a mum, because as a mum, particularly if you have sons, especially once they reach teenage years, it's very difficult to put your foot down and implement your authority with them. You know, to put them in place, to put them in check. That's hard. And I can understand that struggle. But we need to stop glorifying this. Because the more we glorify it, the more we are permitting and giving our blessing to women to continue pull the plug on their marriages. And then we have an epidemic of single moms. Why am I so big on this? Because guess who suffers? Who suffers the most when we have single parents, particularly single moms? Because 9 out of 10, 90% of children raised in single parent homes are with single mothers, not fathers. I took this stat from Dr. Warren Farrell as well. Why is this such a problem? Because kids raised in single mother homes do worse across the board on all metrics: education, mental health, physical health, you name it, they're failing. We must stop glorifying single motherhood. This has to stop.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like you, and I think this is not just in terms of like for our culture. I'm thinking even for previous generations, you know, like being a mom is not valued as highly as it should be. Like being a stay-at-home mom is not as like valued as high as it should be, as in terms of comparison to as a working woman. Why is that? Like at the end of the day, you are raising a child. You are raising
the next generation.
But it's this
so
whole
hard.
idea of, oh, you stay at home with the kids, like.
We don't want to hear no more buts from you, sister. Yes, they're absolutely right. Being a stay-at-home mom is something that should be respected. It's a very important role. For who else? Who else is going to do it? If not you, then who? The nanny? I mean, who? It's a very important role. We need women to stay on. By the way, since women have entered the workforce en masse, the value of labor has halved, which is why most households now need 2 incomes to take care of the household. They need it because the value of labor has halved. You can't double the workforce and then expect the value of said labor to remain the same. It's impossible. It's an economic impossibility. If you double the workforce, you have to halve the value of that labor. So now we have mum and dad at work, both of them on the freaking plantation, slaving away whilst the kids are at home to make the same amount of money. It's ridiculous. Yes, we should be given a lot more respect to stay-at-home mums. And to the men, be careful. Don't put your wife down. Oh, what do? You just stay at home with the kids. No, this is an important job, my friend. This is an important role. And give her that respect and admiration for it. Why? Because if you don't, what will be the side effect? She will want to go into the workplace and get a job because she feels that's the only way she will be valued and respected. Yes, we need to put value and respect on mothers who choose to stay at home and raise their children. For if not them, then who? We're going to fast forward.
I think it's not a problem when women and men have defined roles in a family unit. I think that helps. That helps a family unit, and I think it helps things. I think that because of these bloodlines, I think that's what is. I don't know. I feel like for most of the Muslim women that I've spoken to, they just don't want to work for their whole life.
But do you know what? This is the problem when women are on their grind culture. Then they get to the realization that they don't want to work, and it's like you've been doing this whole independent boss lady thing and honing your life on your career, and then after you decide that you don't want to work all of a sudden, but you've almost sacrificed like not your prime years, but your like your prime years on like focusing on your education. And now,
did you see how that was difficult for her to say? But she said it in the end. She said it in the end. You sacrificed your prime years, not your prime years. Yeah, you sacrificed your prime years. Women know some level of consciousness that youth and beauty is very important to a man. Extremely important. And then you sacrifice that only to realize once it's too late, once the ship of youth and beauty has sailed, that, oh, damn, this was a mistake. Which is why we have channels like Kevin Samuels blowing up. This is why, because we have an epidemic, never mind an epidemic, a pandemic of women past their prime who are making this realization, damn, I'm earning $100,000 a year. I'm successful in my career and I'm miserable. Why? Because I'm single and I have no children. That's what it boils down to for a woman. Like, she wants to have children. She wants to be with her kids and raise her children and, you know, all of that good stuff. But it's too late. And it's sad, wallahi. Wallahi, it's sad. Abdul Hamid, once again, Habibi, I appreciate it. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam warned us Muslim men about the fitna of women. Feminism is living proof of this. Indeed. Indeed, akhi. Ahmed Lagha, appreciate the €5 super chat, my man. Mahdi, do you believe that digressing away from the fitrah is the root cause for such fallacious narratives we see today? If so, how do we fix this? When you say, Ahmed, digressing away from the fitrah, are you talking about women, for example, doing things like masculine things, pursuing masculine pursuits, masculine endeavors? Then yes, I would say to you, absolutely. I would say to you, absolutely. Because once again, they get to past 30, TikTok on Kevin Samuel's show. There's no good men around, and all the rest of it. So yes, you know, subhanAllah, it's funny that you say this. I was having this conversation with a brother the other day. You know, I said to him, Akhi, it's gotten to the point where I have seen so many scientific facts prove what an ayah in the Quran or a hadith, the benefits, for example, of eating the fig or eating honey or bathing yourself in olive oil. I said to him, I've seen so many articles and stories from the non-Muslims about the benefits of this that I got to the point where I said, you know, I don't ask questions anymore. As-sama wa ta'a. I hear and I obey. Eat this, I'm down, I'm eating it. Drink this, I'm eating it. Get up at this time, I'm getting up at that time. Don't even question anymore. As-sama wa ta'a. Subhanallah. You follow what Allah and His Messenger have laid out for us to do, you win. One brother, he said to me, MashaAllah, he's been practicing his whole life. Allahumma barik. He's been practicing his whole life. He said to me, Mahdi, I wouldn't even touch a woman. She couldn't get anywhere near me. It got to the point in university where it became a competition amongst the girls, a fetishized competition amongst the girls. Who will touch this brother first? They were all crowing over him. They all wanted him. Why? Because he made himself rare by being unavailable, by being categorically unavailable. Look at the irony. The less available he was to them, the more they pursued him and wanted him. Allahu Akbar. It's got to the point now, I say, you know what? This ayah says this, I'm down. I don't need to understand it. I don't need to comprehend it. If some scientific thing comes out later on, then oh, great, mashallah, I don't care. Allah said it, His Messenger said it, I'm down, I'm doing it. Too many times I have seen this and then I kick myself. I'm like, why didn't I do this? I already knew this. Why didn't I do this? And it's frustrating that now, khalas. Allah said, His Messenger said, I'm there, I'm down. Ilyas Mohandes, appreciate the €5 super chat, my man. Even when I was beta, I wouldn't take a single mom seriously. Something about taking care of another man's child always repulsed me. Absolutely, Akhi. And again, I want to make space, room for two segments. Widows, number one, and those sisters, minority though they are, of sisters who are genuinely oppressed and abused by their husbands. But again, you see, every single mom who's been through a divorce thinks she's the one who was genuinely oppressed and abused by her husband. And my response to you, sister, what did you do that made him respond to you in that way? And again, there are some women who are genuinely oppressed. I make room for you. Widows, definitely make room for you. But a large majority of women who have been through divorces have not been subjected to that type of emotional abuse or physical abuse. Less than 1 in 5 women go through some type of domestic violence. You need to hold yourself accountable, ladies. It's accountability season.
Oh, your education, your job, and then now you're like, oh, I don't want to work.
Oh, but okay, but I have a question. So if, for example, this guy walks away tomorrow, what are you going to do?
I believe.
Fear and lack. Fear and lack. This is the only response women like this have. When they hear other women talking about the importance of, pairing up, marrying your husband, prioritizing that, finding a man, marrying up. This is the response, fear and lack. And I say to you this. أَنَا كَظَنِّ عَبْدِي. As per the Hadith Qudusi. Allah says it's a part of a longer Hadith Qudusi. Hadith Qudusi is something Allah said, but it was narrated through the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but it's not in the Quran. أَنَا كَظَنِّ عَبْدِي. I am as my servant thinks of me. Is that what you think is going to happen? Guess what? It's going to happen. If you think that's going to happen, that's going to happen. Fear and lack. It will happen. You need to go into a relationship with the mindset that I need to make this work no matter what. He might have his flaws, but I too have my flaws. We're going to make this work. But when you go into a relationship, sister, with 1 foot in and 1 foot out, hedging. Go and watch my video. Sisters, stop hedging on your husbands. That's the title of the video. Go and watch it. Stop hedging on your husbands. When you hedge and you go halfway in, but you stay halfway out, do you want to know what happens once you go through a difficulty, a trial in your relationship? Do you know what happens? You don't have the testicular fortitude, or the ovarian fortitude, if you like, to stick it out, to make it work. You're like, you know what? Forget this guy. I've got my job. I'll be all right. I'll find someone else. That's the mindset you now have. Fear and lack. Get rid of it. Am I saying now that some women, they won't end up, that they will never end up in a relationship with a man who is genuinely abusive? No, it could still happen. But guess what? I got news for you. You are more likely to make your marriage work if you go in wholeheartedly without hedging than if you go in with hedging. Stop hedging. Fear and lack. Get it out of your head. Rashid, once again, I appreciate the €5 super chat. If you date a single mother, her children will always be number one. She will always side with her child. I've talked extensively on this. Yes, absolutely. And by the way, yes, for the most part, you are right. But again, there are instances where a woman will give give the man authority over those children. I married a widow. My third wife was a widow. She had 3 children from her husband who passed away, rahimahullah. I have full authority over them. Full, uncompromising authority and support. Now, am I saying that's the rule? That's definitely an exception. That's definitely an exception. But I'm just saying we have to make room for, there are exceptions to the rule. Now, does that mean that you should base your actions on exceptions? No. You should base your actions on a balance of probabilities, not possibilities. But I have to make that exception. I have to. Even Allah in the Quran says, my friend, Jazakallah khair, you know what? I'm going to read it out. I'm going to read it out. He said to me, Mahdi, you know, when you talk about these things, don't speak in categoric terms, because Allah in the Quran, even He speaks as illa alladhina tabu. For example, let me see here. إن بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن المنافقين في الدرك الأسفل من النار ولن تجد لهم نصيرا إلا الذين تابوا وأصلحوا واعتصموا بالله وأخلصوا دينهم لله. Do you understand? إلا الذين, except those. So I have to make that consistent. And shout out to my, mashallah, my good friend and brother Kareem for homing that point in on me. Mashallah, he's in the background. He makes a lot of corrections for me, and you know, the things that I make mistakes on and so on, he's there to correct me. Jazakallah khair. Melvin Wataran, never under any circumstances take a single mother serious. Like I said, Melvin, for the most part, I would agree with you. But I have to make room for widows in particular, because it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Do you understand? But for the most part, I agree with you. And we don't want to base actions on a balance of possibilities. You want to base it on a balance of probabilities. Dude Desi, Abdul Hamid, appreciate the $5 super chat. In response to Brother Rashid, a single mom will put her kids first whilst expect you to put her first. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, generally speaking, you're right. Generally speaking, you are right, brothers. Let's.
What do you do?
No, but I believe that as a woman, especially when you have access, make sure you're educated. I believe every woman should be educated. I believe every woman should have a means to like work if you want to work. But I do believe that it shouldn't be her responsibility to financially carry a household. But
let's say he walks away.
Then you have that backup.
What? Oh, okay.
So you're
But
educated. You've already.
But let's say he walks away. But what if fear, lack, fear, lack, fear, lack? Ukhti, if you're going to go into a marriage with that mindset, don't get married. Don't get married. Because already you're thinking like this. Already you're thinking, what if? And by the way, let me correct her as well. Completely forgot. Women are doing the majority of walking away, not men. 70 to 80% of all divorces are initiated by the women. I heard one stat from Red Pill Arabic, Coach Kareem, Jazakallah khair, that 89% of women in the Arab world, of divorces in the Arab world are initiated by women. What men are walking away? Please tell me. Yes, some men are walking away, but mainly it's women walking away. He should be worried about you, fam. He should be worried hold on a minute, what if I have kids with this woman and then she walks away from me? Because that's a more likely scenario than you walking away from him. It's funny, we've got someone in the chat here. This individual, I'm not going to give her a shout out, but you can see her. You can see her in the chat. She always has something negative to say about my work. And yet, without fail, mashallah, she is here supporting the channel, pushing the video in the algorithm by commenting in the chat and viewing the program. Jazakallah khair, sister. Much appreciated. You are very loyal to my channel. And gentlemen, let that be a lesson to you, by the way. Indignation really moves women to action. It stimulates their emotion. It might make them upset, but it engages them. Indignation, something to be said about that.
Like, yeah, I feel like you should do those things, but don't make it your life. Like, I believe, like, I'll try and excel in my career, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to die for a job.
Yeah, no one's saying, I'm not saying die for a job,
but that's what I'm saying grind culture is.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I just think for me, like, if a guy was to walk away tomorrow, I want to know that, I don't know, you guys hate me if you want to hate me, but I just feel like I don't want to feel dependent on anyone. And I know you guys are going to say, but I think, you know, whatever, like, sometimes it's good to be dependent and have these defined roles. But for me, maybe just seeing my parents' marriage, I don't want that for me. I don't.
And this is from the filth of feminism. Feminism has told women you can't trust men. And this poor sister has been infected. The disease has spread. The contagion has spread throughout her body. And we need to start amputating. Gangrene is forming. You can't trust men. Melvin Watron, appreciate the €5 super chat. Obviously, a widow is a different story. Prophet even mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, separately, that there is a great reward in return. This is about a divorced mother. Yes, absolutely. Barakallahu fiqh. There is a hadith in Bukhari which mentions the virtue of taking care of the widow. Specifically, the divorced woman, I have much less tolerance for. And if you want to find out what a divorced woman's backstory is, just ask her. So what did you do to contribute to the downfall of the marriage? Ask her that question. If she gets all uppity and defensive, shukran sister, ma'as-salama, goodbye, I'm out. Why? If she finds that question offensive, it's an indication that she takes no responsibility for the downfall of the marriage. And it's highly unlikely that she was genuinely, completely oppressed. I find that highly unlikely. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's just saying it's unlikely. That's the litmus test. If she gets uppity and defensive, that's the litmus test.
I really don't, because my dad supported my mom through so much stuff, but I just personally, if he didn't, let's say he was the opposite of to how nice of a person he is, and like he was someone like who just walked away, like what would I do? Do you understand? Like I've put all my life, my effort, my energy into this person. Like
fear and lack. I've addressed this. I'm not going to let her carry on. We've addressed this. I'm not listening to it. And you can see the other two sisters. They're getting uncomfortable. Like, yeah, I understand, but you know, like, what's the likelihood of that happening? And this girl, her father was a good man. Yeah, and she can't even relate to the experience of a man walking away from a marriage. Why is she waffling on about it for?
You know, and just our man was making 7 figures. You know what I mean? But like
for the majority,
yeah, like of course, like. But the thing is, I kind of love the whole idea of just being. I know, like not being my own boss or whatever, but just like being my own person and just like. Yeah,
but that's fine if you want that. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
like I do, of course. Like guys, I'm not joking. Like, do you know how cute it is to like know that one day we could all be in love with like our soulmates? That's so cute, but it's not like. Yeah.
What is love to you guys?
I think love is just gonna get all mushy and deep, guys. I feel like love is just understanding and just compassion, and yeah, just understanding and compassion, because I think you can love someone.
I'm not going to allow this to continue. I've heard enough. I've heard too much from her now. Let me tell you what love is. You want to know what love is? It's one word. Service. That's what love is. Service. And maybe sacrifice as well. We can add to that. But in one word, service. I serve you, you serve me. We serve each other in different ways, but we serve each other nonetheless. Will there be times you won't like me? Yes. Will there be times I don't like you? Yes. Will there be hard times, tough times, difficult times? Yes, absolutely. Deal with it. Service, that's what love is. And this is why I say to the younger generation, to the young adults, don't want to patronize you, don't want to call you kids, but to the young adults, stay in your lane. Relationship talks is not for you. Stay in your lane. Please, because you are a lot of the time giving bad advice out there. I told you, even I feel shy sometimes talking about these topics because I know that I'm still young, relatively speaking, with reference to my total age, my total lifetime. I'm still young. Really and truly, you want to be listening to 40 plus, really and truly, where he's lived a bit of life. It's only because I've been married for nearly 20 years and I've already explained my backstory. Aside from that, uskut, be quiet.
Similar to your dad in any way? The man that you want, or the man that you have in your mind, is similar to your dad in any way? Is that a weird question? No, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, do you feel like the guy that you want embodies the same characteristics as your future husband?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and I feel like for me, I mean
your dad, sorry.
I hold a lot of value in, like, if I was like the guy that I'm gonna marry, I would hold a lot of value in what my dad thinks of that person.
100%.
And also, like, I feel like there's loads of traits from my dad that I think a husband and a father should have. And I think for me, they have to have those traits, because I see how, like, I feel like for me, I've seen how hard my dad has worked, and I've seen what my dad has, like, achieved with us, and like how he's raised us, and I don't want anything less.
Same.
Especially if I feel like if my dad could achieve it through like the hardships he had in life, I don't see why someone who's born and raised here with certain privileges can't hold that.
I feel like because of what your parents.
Right. This is very important now. The first modeling of a man that a girl has is her father. It is her father. Hence why I have told you, gentlemen, one of the red flags to look out for when marrying is a woman who has daddy issues. And by daddy issues, I mean a woman whose relationship has broken down with her father. Do not marry her. Please. I'm not saying it's haram or nobody should marry her. I'm just saying you shouldn't marry her. You watching me right now, there's 500 of you. At least 75% of you are men. You don't marry her, because you are signing yourself up for a death sentence. And I'm going to play to you a short clip, again, from Jordan Peterson's podcast with the roommates. Let me just share the screen. Just a brief couple of seconds for what he said on the matter. Right. Oops, it's on mute. Let me mute my thing over here.
So, but what you have to understand is that, what do you expect from women? If you got pregnant because you had sex, you'd be pretty damn choosy too. So, clue in a bit, and then, well, don't they find you attractive from women? But what you have to understand is that, what do you expect with girls? When I was young, so I know what that rejection is like. I know what that fear is like. I don't know it as well as some men know it, because I wasn't rejected outright. So, but what you have to understand is that, what do you expect from women? If you got pregnant because you had sex, you'd be pretty damn choosy too. So, clue in a bit, and then, well, don't they find you attractive? Well, maybe you're not. Like, have you paid attention to how you dress? Do you have a plan? Are you as educated as you could be? Are you a liar? Are you a rabid pornography user? Because maybe that's undermining your motivation. So the first thing I would do is listen to why they were there, and then start to unpack that anger, and then start to work with the individual to figure out how to voice that. You have to separate out what's old history and useless, and what's just narcissism and infantilism, from genuine your motivation to seek out a woman and grow yourself up. It's like, if you're rejected constantly and you're out there really trying, you know, because that's another thing to ask yourself is, well, how many women have you actually asked out? And are you so sure that you're not picking women who will certainly reject you because you're trying to bat out of your league? Because you might be. So, and I'm speaking about this as a clinician too, because I had plenty of men in my practice who were, you know, radically unsuccessful with women. I had one man in particular. He was so afraid of women, he couldn't use the phone. He was too afraid of everyone to use the phone. And he had been bullied like mad. And you know, he had his problems.
Okay, I've been unable to find the clip that I was looking for, but I did screenshot it. So what I'm going to do is just going to play it for you guys from my phone. Play close attention, okay? I couldn't find it on there, but I took a screen dump of this. So I'm going to play it from my phone.
So we have that going for us. But we're afraid of masculine. Women who've had bad experiences with men can't distinguish competence from tyranny. And so they...
For those who didn't hear that, women who have had bad experiences with men can't distinguish competence from tyranny. Can't distinguish competence from tyranny.
You know, they reject the tyranny, or they'll marry second-rate men because then they can rule the roost, which is a very bad solution.
So then they'll reject the tyranny, or they will, meaning they won't marry a man at all, or they will marry second-rate men because they can rule the roost because she can control him. What's my point here? If a girl has hang-ups, emotional hang-ups with her father, daddy issues, this is going to really complicate her ability to connect with you. She's got a lot of work to do, serious amount of therapy. And if her father's still alive, for those of you girls who do have daddy issues, you have work to do. Get on your job, because you are a ticking time bomb, an absolute ticking time bomb. Wallahi, nightmare. Because you take those issues that you haven't healed from, and then you bleed on others who never cut you in the first place. You're a ticking time bomb. So if you have these daddy issues, if you have emotional hang-ups, I implore you, sister, please go and get that help. Go and get that therapy. Try and make it work between you and your father. Do whatever you got to do. Because you're not going to be able to emotionally connect with a man, submit to him. And if you do somehow manage to do this, it's because you found a man that you can control. And that never works out well. Because eventually you get sick and tired of him. Women don't want to control a man. They might want to, but in the end, you see, this is what I'm saying, giving women what they want. She might think she wants to, but in the end, this only serves to make her miserable, because from her fitrah is for a man to take the lead. In the end, she'll get rid of him. She'll toss him away. So that was that from what I wanted to show you there. You know what? We're done with that for now. The time is 11:07. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a couple of calls, inshallah. I'm going to bring a couple of you guys on, see what you guys have to say. JJ, I can see you there. You were there first, but I need you to flash your camera before I bring you on so that I can ensure you're not some type of malicious content creator like we had last time. So please flash your camera. So for now, we're going to bring brother Muhammad Qasim. Jazakallah khair for your patience waiting there backstage. Muhammad Qasim, salaam alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you good.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Yes, akhi, tfaddal. Bismillah.
I hope there's no echo.
No, you're good. You're good.
Alhamdulillah. I want to ask a question. It's about a good friend.
Is it on topic?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Not directly.
What you do is this, Muhammad Qasim, because I want to keep it on topic. Send me an email. Tell me what it is, the issue is, and I will answer that. I want to keep all calls on topic today. So I appreciate you've been waiting patiently there in the background. So what you do is send me an email and I'll answer it for you there, inshallah ta'ala. Or once I've got through the other calls, if we get through them quickly, I'll bring you back on and then we can take it. For now, I need to keep it on topic. Okay, Muhammad?
Okay, then let it be the last option, the second option.
Tamam. Abu Ahmed, salam alaikum wa rahmatullah. Abu Ahmed, you are...
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته brother.
كيف الحال أخي? What you got for me أخي?
Well, alhamdulillah. I got, brother, I'm married to a divorcee. I should have, well, I've been married for 4 years now.
Tamam.
But I wish I would have known you 4 years ago, brother.
Subhanallah. Tell me, what's going on? What's going on, أخي?
He divorced from abusive marriage before. And she's taking it all out on me, brother. You know what I mean? I've been studying my religion for 4 years now. Alhamdulillah, I mean 8 years now. Alhamdulillah, I know a lot about my religion, but I wish I would have known you 4 years ago.
What's the problem, Akhi? What is it? What is the major problem that you're going through? What solution are you looking for?
I've watched a lot of your videos, brother. I just wish I would have known you 4 years ago with the red flags. You know what I mean? She has issues. She has daddy issues, mommy issues. You know, her mom talks over her dad. You know what I mean? And her ex-husband used to be abusive. He used to come home, pull a gun on her head. You know what I mean? So she takes it out all on me with no reasons.
And how do you respond?
Well, I respond by Alhamdulillah for everything. I have 2 beautiful children from her.
No, I'm asking you, when she starts being abusive towards you, what's your response to her? How do you respond?
Just she gets over emotional over nothing, like basically simple things. You know what I mean, brother?
But I'm asking you, how do you respond? Do you go silent, walk away? Do you shout? What's your response?
I go silent and walk away. Power of silence. You know what I mean? The book.
Akhi, I don't know what to say to Allah, because I can relate to this. I can relate to being in a marriage where the woman is extremely disrespectful, and no amount of putting her in check, none of that works. A woman who hasn't been raised to respect a man struggles to respect a man, full stop. You see, because I was thinking maybe I should say to you, you know, put her in check, immediately check that, nip that in the bud. But some women, wallahi, some women, if they were raised with the incapable of respecting a man, doesn't matter what you do, she's not going to be able to respect you. So, Akhi, I mean, I don't know what you want from me, Akhi. I ask Allah to make it easy for you. Have you had children with her? Do you have children with her?
Yes, brother. I have 2 children with her, 2.5-year-old and a 1.5-year daughter and a son.
Allah make it easy for you. Allah make it easy for you.
I
don't know what to say, Akhi Abu Ahmed. You know, I'm against.
She has told me before to get another wife. You know, to get you more children. I want a lot of children. You know what I mean? So, inshallah, in the future, I will be getting another wife. Alhamdulillah, I bought her a car. You know, she has her own house. I live in Iraq. So, Alhamdulillah for everything. But she still complains.
May Allah make it easy for you. Wallahi, this is a bit out of my league. I don't want to say something that could be a mistake. So, especially that you have children. Ask Allah to make it easy for you, Akhi Abu Ahmed. I'm going to bring someone else on now. If you've ever lived with a woman who finds it impossible to respect a man, and if she cannot respect a man for whatever reason, maybe she had a traumatic experience growing up, you tend to find this with women who have, again, daddy issues. Maybe she was abused when she was younger, something terrible, something really bad happened to her. They're a nightmare, wallahi. Above everything, beauty, fertility, all of that comes second to what? Peace. Raha nafsiyya. Peace. JJ, you're in the stream. Assalamu alaikum. Are you still there, JJ? No? Okay. V, I can see you, but I need you to flash the camera on your face, please, not on the penalty charge notice. I've had people do that in the past. All right, let's bring you on real quick. V, yes, what you got for me? Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, you're far away. We can't hear you.
Could you hear me now?
Yeah, there's like you got background noise going on. Are you on Bluetooth? All right, sort that out, please, Akhi. M. Frez. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
For those of you in the chat, please hit the like. Jazakumullah khair. The audience, please hit the like. Yes, Akhi. كيف
الحال? I wanna. Is this only for asking questions, or can we comment on anything?
On topic. If it's not on topic, you can wait backstage. I will go back. I will swing right back around to Muhammad Qasim first. So is your question on topic?
I wanted to comment about some things that was mentioned in your debate with Muhammad Ijab.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll swing back around to you, and I'm going to move you out for now. Muhammad Qasim, we're back around to you, Akhi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. What was your question, Akhi?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. The question was regarding a good friend of mine.
Yes.
I've known him like since childhood.
One second,
Early childhood.
You can join the live in the chat. I'll put the link in the chat. Yes, Akhi, please carry on.
Yes, and like when we finished 10th grade, I continued on making like going to university and so on, or preparing for that. But he started an apprenticeship regarding cars and so on.
Okay.
Repairing cars. I don't know what is called.
Yeah, mechanic.
Mechanic A. That's, by the way, in Germany. And like for several weeks ago, he stated to me an issue, or he sought advice from me regarding marriage. I myself, I'm not married. I've never been married.
So hold on a second. Hold on a second. So Hana, you said the brother's handsome, Allah Mubarak. Slide into the DM. Akhi, what's your IG?
Me?
Yes, you.
IG?
Your Instagram.
Oh, I actually I forgot.
Okay, well, you need to put it in the chat right now, because mashallah, we have single sisters here, and you know they're looking to get married. You're looking to get married. One of them mentioned that you're attractive brother. Yeah, let's do this. Understand? La haya. There's no la haya fi din. There's no shyness here. Khalas. Put your Instagram in the chat. Yes, Akhi, carry on.
I appreciate that, but actually, I'll be honest. I'm right now not into it because I have some work.
Oh, that makes you even more desirable. When you tell them you're not interested, they want you even more.
I'll understand.
Yes,
I'll understand. What he said to me is that he wanted to marry. So he asked his family members to, mainly his female family members, to look here and there. You know the procedure, going to the families and asking around and so on. But the issue he has is that he fears that the woman he might marry is actually not a virgin. And
why does he have that fear?
Well,
is it based upon her, or is it based upon him?
I didn't understand that. How
is it something that she has done, or is this just his fear because of himself?
I don't know. Because of himself, he has this fear. Basically, when he
What's the question?
When he talked to me, I want to explain this bit, and then I ask, inshallah. When he talked to me, he said, he mentioned certain stories. In our place, we hear and there certain stories about some Muslim sisters who actually like commit zina and maybe even niqabis and so on. The thing I said to him is, I think that these stories of those sisters are over exaggerated. That's what I said to him. And I said to him as well that he has to pay attention to certain signs or the way she speaks and so on. But I'm not a professional, so I can't give him
advice.
more
What's your
yeah.
question? I understand the problem. What's the question?
What would you tell him in this particular situation?
I agree with your synopsis that these stories are over-exaggerated. We tend to pick out the fringe stories that we hear in society, and then because they are the only ones that get traction in the media or in conversation, the fringe examples get the most exposure and traction. So I say to the brother, yani, this is something he needs to sort out for himself. If he hasn't seen anything apparent from the sister that, you know, she's unchaste or anything, Bismillah, carry on. That's a him problem. That's a you problem. That's not her problem. You see? So he needs to sort that out for himself. Does that answer your question, Akhi Muhammad?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, barakallah feek.
I appreciate your patience, my man. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Abdullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes, Akhi, what you got for me?
أهلا brother Mahdi, how you keeping? How you doing?
Very good, alhamdulillah. كيف الحال أخي?
Alhamdulillah, tamam, kullu khair. No, I don't have a question or anything, but just wanted to say, you know, just I like your videos. I'm literally at the airport waiting for my flight, listening to the podcast, and I've been watching a lot of your videos lately, but it's given me a lot of how do I say this, ideas on what to do in the future. I'm 20 years old and I'm still at uni, but inshallah I'll be taking your advices when I'm planning to, you know, get married, inshallah. So thank you for all of that.
My pleasure, Akhi. I appreciate it. Jazakallah khair. Habib.
Yeah. Khalas. Have a good night, brother.
And you, safe. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, Abdul Hamid, my man. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Can you hear me, brother?
I can hear you. كيف الحال, Akhi?
Alhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah. The
super chat, my man. I appreciate it.
Definitely, you know, definitely. So, anyways, Mahdi, I had a question because I feel when I was listening to these sisters talk, and this may be an exaggeration on my part, but there are certain consequences that we as Muslims, I think, have to face as a result of coming into the West. Because my sister, she's 29 years old, and there's a revert brother who's interested in marrying her, and things are moving in that direction. But I also have a cousin sister in Pakistan who's of my sister's age, and she's married with 2 kids. And I have a feeling that one of the consequences that we as Muslims are suffering from as a result of coming to the West is that a lot of the negative influences of Western society is coming into our communities. Whereas Muslims in Muslim countries, comparatively, I would say, are more immune to this. And so this is one of the reasons why I sometimes think to myself that if I do get married and have kids, I think I may have to make hijrah to a Muslim country. But the struggle that I have is when I look at Muslim countries, I just see issues after issues, you know, in the Muslim world.
What's your question, Akhi?
I mean, there was a reason or reasons why we have come to the West. You know, because there are issues back home.
Abdul Hamid, what's your question, Akhi?
Yes. I just wanted to know your thoughts, you know, on these concerns that I have.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like,
okay,
let's start here. See, this is a whole another stream that I wanted to do on another occasion, but I'm gonna start from here. I've been juggling this question in my head. Must a man become the best version of himself in order to get married? And I don't believe he needs to. Why? We don't tell women they need to become the best versions of themselves in order to get married. They just exist and are. But becoming the best version of yourself certainly increases your pool of prospects to choose from. So
I agree with that.
Right. So whilst going abroad may be potentially a solution there, I don't know. I've never been abroad. I've never married from abroad, so I can't say with any certainty. Maybe. One thing I do know for sure is this: is that when you become the best version of yourself, your pool of prospects to choose from increases, which means the likelihood of you finding a decent sister also increases accordingly. So is going abroad a solution? Maybe, Akhi, maybe. Personally, I am skeptical towards this idea simply because There could be a clash of cultures. You might share the same ethnicity, but there could still be a clash of cultures. You're Western, she's, Middle Eastern, raised in different cultures. I know we live in a global village, but we still have our own cultures. So I'm skeptical to this. I know AbuAmerican, mashallah, has married women from all over the world, but AbuAmerican is a very worldly man. He's a very well-traveled and worldly man. So you can't take necessarily his blueprint and say that it will apply to everyone. I know one brother in particular, who got a divorce with his wife simply because there was no connection between the two. He said it, bro, like, she's a good woman and everything, but it's like we're two strangers in the household. She's from back home and I'm raised here. We share the same ethnicity, but we can't connect at all. So that's something you have to decide for yourself, my brother. I don't want to say with any certainty. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. One thing is for sure, though, when you do become the best version of yourself, although I don't like the idea of you having to become the best version of yourself to get married, but one thing's for sure, when you do, your pool of prospects increases. Does that answer your question, Abdul Hamid?
Well, partially. It's just that the whole idea of hijrah is not really from a marriage angle. It's really from raising your kids angle primarily. Yeah. Because when I look at my cousin's sister in Pakistan, for example, I mean, her parents had no problem in getting her married.
Let me tell you this. If it's raising kids, Abdul Hamid, I would agree with you. If you can avoid having kids in the West and then putting roots in the ground here, then you get stuck like I have, and you can do that in the Muslim world, I would thoroughly recommend this. This is not a discussion. Not to say that you will be completely immune from the evils of the West and the evils of media and so on, but certainly the likelihood of your children being harmed, it goes down somewhat. It's a logical conclusion. Abdul Hamid, I'm next caller on. I appreciate you coming on, my man.
No problem, no problem.
Shukran, Habibi. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Warda, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sister. Yes, sister. What you got for me?
So I just wanted to comment on the video that you've reacted to today, and me being 27, I've done that whole going to university, trying to figure out a career and all of that. And honestly, just looking at the reaction you've done, I remember looking at a video where they were talking about having an average life, and actually, is it okay to have an average life and not aim to be the top, whatever? And what I wanted to say was, I think women today, just for me personally, just reflecting on myself over the past 1.5 years and just really wanting to know where I want my life to go without what society wants for me, without what my parents want for me. I just, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. But so I think the whole thing of having an average life and being okay, not being a boss babe, and yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to comment. And I think it just shows a lot nowadays where everyone wants to be it. Everyone wants to be the highest earner, if that makes sense.
Are you married, Warda?
No, I'm not. Sadly, I'm not.
So you graduated. What did you graduate in?
Oh, pharmacy.
Okay, so you're a smart cookie. And
yeah,
what type of husband are you looking for?
Brother, wallahi, like, I had to check myself a lot. I had to check myself and try and not have a list of 101 things. All I'm looking for really is someone, I think the deen and akhlaq, that's like basic.
Okay,
but,
I'm going to bring you a guy who's got deen and akhlaq, but he's 4'7" and he looks like Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Let me continue. The list don't stop there. But deen and akhlaq, definitely very, very masculine. Someone who has a plan for their life and can take care of me financially and has a plan, I think, and is open to knowledge and being forward thinking. I think that's the most important thing for me, and someone that is attractive to me.
How tall?
I'm 5'6", so 5'6" and above.
Okay, so if I brought you a brother who's 5'7" and he's got deen and akhlaq and so on, you'd consider him, and he's attractive. You consider him?
Yeah, I think for me that's like the basics, because I shouldn't say pride. That's something that I try my best to have good akhlaq and really learn the deen. So I see that as basic. I think the mindset of really like planning to go somewhere. And I think the one thing that we forget, that's what I forgot to say, is ultimately this life is short and it's temporary. Someone who has a plan to really go to Jannah, basically. I think that's the mindset that I'm really looking for. And for me, as I said, oh, sorry.
How much does he have to earn? What is that?
As long as I don't have to worry about any financial or anything.
What does that mean?
Oh, well, I never really thought about numbers. Maybe 30 plus. I know it's bad. I haven't thought about it. But yeah.
How much?
30 plus. I think for me. Yeah, I think for me it's more about like.
Where do you live? Which city do you live? Are you a Londoner?
No, I'm in the Midlands. I'm like an hour train away from London.
It's okay, so it's cheaper to live down there. £30,000.
Yeah.
You live a comfortable life. That's not
Yeah.
far-fetched. Reasonable. It's reasonable.
So yeah, I just wanted to say I think everyone's forgotten that, you know, this life ain't it. And I think, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've seen a lot of sisters my age who are struggling to get married and have a big list. So I think it's more so like it hits home when I see these kind of videos.
Yeah. So you're 27 right now. What are you doing on a daily basis to, you know, help to find a husband? What's your plan, or on a weekly or a monthly? What do you do to try and find this man?
So, brother, I'm not gonna lie to you, because I live in a small town. It is hard to find like brothers and that. But at this moment in time, all I can say is I'm not my type's type. It's very I had to really come to this realization. Sadly, I've let myself go over the last couple of years because of other circumstances and stuff. So I'm just trying to get into my fitness and health and whatnot.
Okay, you say you've let yourself go. I'm going to ask you some tough questions now, okay? How many pounds have you let yourself go by?
Just, I wouldn't say I'm morbidly obese, but I'm definitely not what I used to be. Let's just say that.
Let's put a number on it. How many pounds?
Oh God, let's just say over 100 kg.
You weigh over 100 kg.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're 5'6", and if you're 5'6" and you weigh over 100 kg, you are definitely morbidly obese. That's morbidly obese. But I've got good news for you. Weight can be lost. You can lose that. And if you lose it, guess what? You'll be more desirable to a larger pool of men, because men are very visual. I know women talk a lot about, you know, I need him to look good and so on and so forth, but men are even more on that side of things, even bigger for a man. So that's something you're going to want to take seriously. And I recommend to you, and if you want, I can put you in touch with, I recommend you actually hire a coach to take care of your diet for you. Why? Even me, myself, I've been training, flipping all my bloody life. I've been training. Still, I hire a coach to do my diet. Why? 2 reasons. Number one, I can't be asked to figure out what I have to eat on a day-to-day basis. It's long. I want someone else to do that headache for me. And number two, I am held accountable. And this is probably the most important thing. At the end of the week, I know I've got to face my coach. And if I haven't hit the numbers and I haven't made progress, he's going to give me an earful. He's going to give me an earful. And I like that, frankly speaking. Even me, like I'm disciplined, alhamdulillah, but I still need to be held accountable, because then I start dropping off. I recommend you do that. This will increase your prospects, because you already know this. Yeah,
TikTok. I do. That's why I'm on this side of YouTube. I do.
Right. So you want to pattern up whilst you're still relatively young, and you can still, mashallah, and it's not going to be impossible for you to find someone. You know, you get yourself into shape, and you sound soft and feminine enough. Although I haven't asked you the hard questions yet, and then I would find out.
Ask me.
Well, we'll get to that when we get to that. But all I'm saying to you is, just as a man has to perform and bring to the table, like very few sisters would take a man seriously if he's dead broke. Equally, a woman has to also perform in her own right. And one of those ways is, you know, her weight. And you've identified this, so I'm going to give you that. You've identified that. So that's one thing. What else are you doing to try and help yourself, you know, find your husband? Is your father involved? This is a big question.
To be honest with you, brother, I thought it was unfair. Right now, I haven't involved anybody. My father, I think it's unfair for me to ask, I want this, when I haven't gotten there myself. So I think my weight is my biggest liability at this moment in time. But I am planning to involve both my father and my brother, inshallah, in let's say a couple of months when I'm at an okay weight, if that makes sense.
So I'm going to pull out this comment here because this is very true. Hannah has written, women tell each other they're beautiful just the way we are, and we set each other up for failure. This is absolutely true. Women by nature don't want to, upset each other. They don't want to stir waters, so to speak. But that holds women back. No, you're not beautiful just the way you are. No, you do need to pattern up. Yes, you do need to lose a few pounds or whatever the case may be, and that's okay. Let me tell you something, Warda. You can lose 20 kilos easily in 12 weeks if you get a coach healthily, the right way, not yo-yo diet. 20 kilos easy, no problem, because why? Because you've got quite a bit of weight to lose, and the more weight you have to lose, the faster you lose it. 12 weeks, that's not a long time. You got to take it seriously.
All right.
Any other?
So, brother, I think one thing that I actually wanted to ask is the kind of person I'm not trying to be delusional or anything. I'm really trying to be realistic. The kind of person I'm looking for is someone who's forward thinking. Am I right to ask for that once I've lost the weight?
What does that mean? What does forward thinking mean? I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Probably have a plan, like have rules, not rules, sorry, a plan for themselves. Who is forward moving, I should say, not forward thinking. I don't believe in that feminism rubbish or whatever, or modernism.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. And I say to the gentlemen, I'm just as hard on the men as I am on the women. Gentlemen, you need to have at least a plan. At least. And not just a plan, oh, I want to become a millionaire. MashaAllah. How are you going to get there, bro? What's the roadmap? Google Maps roadmap. If I say I want to go to Australia, well, I need to have a roadmap destination to get there. So yes, that's perfectly reasonable. And you said 30,000 a year. That's an average salary in the UK is £27,500. Not this average. Adi. I don't see a problem with that.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for the advice. I think in terms of the coach is something that I'm definitely looking into because just a bit difficult right now. But thanks for the advice. I appreciate it.
I'll tell you right now. I'm gonna put his name in the chat because he's my guy. He's been my coach for ages and he's extremely successful at what he does. And he has contacts with female coaches. I'm gonna put him in the chat right now. Type this name that you see in the chat on YouTube. Shout out to Afsa, Aubergine_Avenger. He's the man, and he'll put you in touch with women who can help you, inshallah. Okay, well, Sister Warda, I'm going to bring someone else on. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you. Bye.
Monolith Crypto. Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
كيف حالك؟
بخير الحمد لله. وأنت؟
For those of you watching, please hit that like and make sure you sub the channel as well. We've got 663 of you in here. Like the video and sub the channel. Alhamdulillah, akhi, jazakallah khair. What you got for me, akhi? I feel like we've spoken before. Have we spoken before?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Have we spoken before? I feel like I recognize your name.
Nah, but you've probably seen me in the comments before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Yes, akhi, tfaddal.
But yeah, I just want to say, jazakallah khair, man, for everything that you're doing, man. It's much appreciated because I'm like a product of a single mother home, so I can relate to everything that you've been saying, and it's a thing where, growing up and just being a product of that is the reality is something else, and you can see it for what it is. Excuse me.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Do you have a question you want to ask?
Yeah, I got a question. So, at the moment, I'm obviously in the process of trying to find that ideal Muslim woman, but I just feel like I don't even know where to start.
How old
do you have an advice of where to find this type of woman?
How old are you?
20.
Okay, so I'm guessing you're still studying.
Yeah, so at the moment I'm at uni, and alhamdulillah, got a job as well. you know, have my own house and whatnot. But yeah, at the moment I'm trying to find that woman, but I just don't know where to start.
You said you got your own place. You got your own place.
Yeah, I do.
MashaAllah, that's a big deal, bro. Don't say that quietly. That's a big deal. You know, what type of sister are you looking for? Oh, before we get to that, how tall are you? What's your height?
6'3".
Okay. What's your weight?
Like 92.
92. So sound athletic build. Are you athletic build?
Yeah.
Okay, MashaAllah. What type of sister are you looking for? Because you're at university, you're surrounded by them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I've never had the issue of finding a woman. It's just trying to find the right woman.
What does that mean, Akhi? What's the right woman?
As in, to be honest, I'm not really asking for much. All I want is a woman who's gonna stay at home. Like, she don't need to do nothing, honestly. She can, like, everything can get looked after. She just needs to stay at home, look after the house, and that's it, literally. Obviously, the dean needs to be there as well.
What I will say to you is this, Akhi, is that you're at university right now. And I don't know what the situation at uni is right now, but when I was at uni 10 years ago, people were getting married left and right. And what I will say is this, Akh, when you first approach a sister and you first speak to her, it can often scare sisters when you say to them, I just want you to stay at home, cook, clean, do the dishes and all the rest of it, before you've successfully achieved some type of like chemistry of some sort. And by chemistry, I don't mean go out dating and all the rest of it. I simply mean when you lay the law down too quickly, and I've made this mistake in the past as well, women get scared. She may well be happy to do that. And this is the really bad thing. She may well be very happy to do that. But because of the way it's been said and how quickly it was said, she says to herself, hold on a minute, this is going to be a trend in our marriage. He's going to be shoving things down my throat left and right. So, Akhi, look, Allahumma barik, you're tall. You're in good shape, judging from your height and your weight. I don't know what you look like, but you know what you look like, and you have your own place. You've got options, bro. You've got options. You just maybe when you are talking to sisters, and you're in a place right now where the sisters left and right. When you're talking to sisters, just use a bit of tact when you're dealing with them, and remember, those sisters are in their prime, meaning they are constantly thinking, oh, but what if there's someone else, and someone else. So go through the numbers as quickly as you can. Be careful of how quickly you lay the law down. You stay at home. You can't cook and clean, especially if you're looking for a sister at uni. Because if she's at uni, it probably stands to reason she wants to have a career, right? Don't lay the law down too quickly. And more than anything, don't get hung up on any one sister for too long. And I strongly recommend you speak to multiple sisters at the same time. Let me say that again for those who missed it at the back. Speak to multiple women, sisters, at the exact same time, and don't be shy about it. Never be shy about it. If one of them catches you and says, oh, I heard you were talking to my friends, like, yeah, and what? You don't like it? Bounce, rahi. That'll make it even more attracted to you, the irony. But for you, that will prevent you from falling hard on any one of them, from simping on any one of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I hope that's answered your question, Akhi. Anything else?
No, that's it. Jazakallah khair, man.
Barakallah fiqh. My man, look after yourself, Akhi. And one more thing, Monolith Crypto, one more thing before you go. My apologies. You mentioned that you were raised by a single mom. You know what you need to work on. I don't know what you need to work on. You know what you need to work on. Whatever that is, and be brutal with yourself. Whatever that is that you need to work on it. Because there are some men who, mashallah, have everything going for them, but because of the way that they emote or the way that they express themselves, sometimes this puts women off. I'm not saying that's you. I'm simply saying that happens. So whatever you know you need to work on internally yourself, do that work as well. Maximize your chances everywhere. I speak to bare sisters at the same time. Yeah, I said it.
100.
All right.
Jazakallah.
Wa yak. Assalamu alaikum, akhi. Okay, Rashid, I appreciate the 10 euro super chat, akhi. Brothers, there's a woman that turns 18 every minute of the day. Please listen to the advice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to marry young, fertile women. Absolutely, absolutely. Especially if you're young yourself, guys. And most of my audience are young themselves. All right, guys, this is what we're going to do. Is this? I still have a few callers who want to call back in. So I am going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. Let's get rid of this real quick. Because I haven't prayed Isha, and I need to pray Aisha, but there's still a lot of you who want to call in. So I'm going to play this video here that I made a while back. What am I doing? Spare with me 1 second, guys. I'm going to play this video here. Okay. I'm going to play this video whilst I pray Salah, and then I'll come back, inshallah ta'ala, and take the remaining calls. If you guys are still here. Share screen, Chrome tab. So this is a video that I took the other day. I'm just going to let this run whilst I pray. I will mute my thing, and then I will return and take the remaining calls, inshallah. Got 700 of you in here. Please hit that like and sub the channel. I'll be back in around 7-8 minutes, inshallah. Blood brothers, savvy sisters, this video today is for both of you. I don't always put my videos in both sections, but this video today is for both of you. You are both going to benefit immensely from this video. Sisters and brothers alike. Sisters going to give you some clarity. Brothers, oh boy. So this video was actually sent in to me by a sister. And one of the sisters from the Savage Sisters group, we're going to keep her anonymous. She has requested to remain anonymous. Shout out to you, sister. You know who you are. And I'm going to just read it straight off the thing. I have to blot out a couple of details for the purpose of anonymity. So if you see me stalling or stuttering or something, it's because I'm trying to figure out on the fly how am I going to, keep this piece of information anonymous. But flip me, we have got some work to address today. Let's just get straight into it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I have a video request about guys who are simps, quote unquote. She wrote that. Traits of simps and how to avoid them based on an experience of mine. And I would like to remain anonymous. You guys ready for this? Yeah. There was a brother I was/am considering for marriage. Just to give you guys context, the sister is young. Okay, the brother is 25. The sister is younger than that. Let's just leave that there. He's 25, has a job and his own place. He's divorced, which I don't mind, but he's on his deen and is seeking Islamic knowledge. Not bad. Sounds all right? I was impressed by this and was even considering him, even though I don't find him particularly attractive. Okay, this is strike number one.
This is haram.
If you don't find him attractive, sisters, as in there is no immediate attraction, don't think that by looking for other qualities inside him, that this will somehow compensate for the lack thereof of those initial qualities that you are looking for. It don't work like that. It's a big mistake. Don't think, oh, well, I'm not attracted to him, but maybe because he's so nice, or he's so pleasant, or he's got such a great personality that I will be attracted to him somehow. It doesn't work like that. That's not how attraction works. There needs to be some type of physical chemistry, even for you sisters. Brothers, you already know this. You know this already. She's got to pass the eyeball test. But even for you ladies, there has to be some type of physical attraction. You have to be able to visualize yourself. Wait, just wait.
Don't say this. Alhamdulillah. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna smash your boy, guys. I'm gonna smash your boy.
You have to be able to visualize yourself smashing your boy, guys. If you can't see yourself smashing your boy, keep it moving. Keep it moving. There needs to be something. I'm not saying he needs to look like Brad Pitt or anything like this. Something there's like, mashallah, yeah, I can see myself being intimate with this man. Okay? Right. Let's continue. However, here's the big but. His messages make me cringe. Brothers, pay attention, please, yeah? He asked if I like face masks and use toners on my face and suggested if I'd like us to do it together.
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay? Nothing wrong with personal hygiene, but it feels like men nowadays want to be seen as woke by having knowledge of skincare and think this impresses us women. Right. For those of you who saw my stream the other day, the sneaky fucker strategy. What's the sneaky effort strategy? It is where men mimic, imitate, monkey, ape the behaviors of women in the hope, not just the behaviors, the mindset, the feelings, the emotions, the empathy, everything, in the hope that this will impress her. I'm behaving like her. I talk like her. I think like her. I will impress her. Surely this will increase my chances of bagging her. No, she sees you as her girlfriend. You will impress her as a friend, not as an intimate partner. You see, and this is where men go wrong. They think that they need to suppress their masculine tendencies, their masculine traits. And indeed, society has told us this. But by doing so, and by taking on the mantra that the female way of emoting is the correct way of emoting, you become relegated to the dreaded friend zone, brother. That's where you get relegated to. And women start to sense this. It's one of the number one reasons why there are so many sexless marriages. Women look at their men and basically see women in disguise. This is a woman in man's clothing. The way he emotes, the way he expresses himself. And I can't blame the men, to be honest with you, because they were told that's the right thing to do. But now you have this knowledge, especially if you're watching this, you need to go out there and do something about it. You need to go out there and do something about it, because this is not acceptable. And the women are clocking on. They're getting miffed with this behavior. It's putting them off, as you can see. Let's continue. He also uses the term jillies. First time I'm hearing this term, wallah, instead of jilbab. This is a word sisters use. I've never heard a brother say this.
I look at man, that man's moving wet. Man's moving soft. Man's moving on his... You're moving towards gating. Why are you gay?
This is what the sister's thinking. Man's moving towards this gating. Trust me. I've never heard a brother say this. He thinks, once again, by aping the language and behavior of a woman, that he is going to impress her. Rather, it has caused this sister to sign up to my Patreon, Savvy Sisters Patreon tier, shout out to you, sister, and ask me, am I wrong for feeling like I can't stand this man? That's the impact it's had on her. SubhanAllah. Also, when describing his personality, he kept emphasizing the importance of being emotionally intelligent. MashaAllah.
Shut up, you're now it's Obama.
Fool. Absolute fool. Again, this is what we have been told. Emote like a woman. Express like a woman. Talk about your feelings. Shut your mouth. Shut
up, you're now it's Obama.
Stop waffling, rude boy. What do you mean? No. They don't want to know about your feelings, bruv. Trust me. They will ask you. They will test you. They will push you. You have to remain firm. Oh, but tell me, Habibi, please, what's going on? Shut your mouth. Keep firm. Put your head on the floor. Complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The moment you start emoting and complaining and moaning and whinging and whining to your wife, you start spreading, or in this instance here, wife to be, you start spreading the seeds of doubt in her mind. Is this man capable of leading us? Just as if Joe Biden or Boris Johnson, even though they're incompetent as they are, but never mind, we won't go there, go up on stage today and started telling the world how stressed they feel and how they're really struggling, you would lose confidence in them as a leader as well. No difference. You're the leader, you got to pan up. It's not about toxic masculinity or anything like that. No, that's the responsibility of being a leader. And in any case, what does it do to talk? What benefit do you get from it? How does that help you? If anything, it makes it worse. Not to mention, you've handed her a cocked gun that she can fire against you at any moment. You've given her valuable tools to use against you in an argument, if she's inclined that way. And believe me, many women are. This has happened to me in one of my marriages. I gave my wife a piece of information that, put me in a vulnerable position by sharing this with her. And the very next argument, boy, she turned that gun and fired it against me. It happens. Don't make that mistake. Let's continue. So he keeps emphasizing the importance of being emotionally intelligent, and that when he's angry, he cries. I look at man, that man's moving wet. I don't play the whole thing. You don't even deserve it. Straight slap. I wasn't sure if he was trying to impress me. My man thought he was impressing her. He thought by aping the behavior of a woman, by aping the behavior of women, that this will impress her. He's woke. He's modern. He's woke. No, she sees you as a freaking girlfriend. I wouldn't want a man crying more than me, fam. I wouldn't want a man crying more than me. She's right. He's also agreeing, pay attention, with everything I say. He is also agreeing with everything I say. I don't think, now this is super important to the brothers, please pay attention. I don't think he realizes that it's attractive to have your opinions and disagree sometimes. AbuAmerican has been talked about in the past, outrage porn, how women have an innate affinity towards outrage porn. Why do women continually call up the Kevin Samuels show every single day, day in, day out, knowing they are going to get absolutely taken to the cleaners? They can't help themselves. It makes them feel alive. That emotion makes them feel alive. Why are gossip magazines so popular amongst women? And gossip in general, for that matter. It makes them feel alive. The indignation is something to talk about. Yay, wow, woo. Do you understand? Something to talk about. Makes them feel alive. You agreeing with her on everything, you're frankly depriving her of that. Why do you think I don't care when I make these YouTube videos and I'm triggering the sisters? Because I know the effect it's having on them. I am acutely aware of the effect it's having on them. And this sparks conversation, and we can have discussions. I can bring women to the table and we can talk. If I simply agree with them on everything, which I don't anyway, that doesn't stimulate that response. And then we can't have these discussions. You see? This is how you bring them to the table to have these discussions. You got to stimulate a bit of indignation. Maybe you got to make your message a bit spicier than what you would normally do. That's how you bring them to the table so we can sit down and have a civilized conversation. Right. We are back. Zdab is green. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We've got 598 of you in here. Please hit that like. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you have enjoyed this video so far. If you want to finish the rest of that video, that was a video taken from Patreon directly. I released it onto my onto the public YouTube channel. It's a fascinating video. You got to watch it to the end if you haven't watched it already. You can find it on my channel. It was, the title of the video is He Wrote Her a Letter and She Felt Sick, something like that. And if you're not part of my men's Patreon community already, why not? Got so many juicy videos on them. Muhammad Hijab did a great job of advertising my videos on the debate last week. And we have a end of month Zoom call as well, every single month for the brothers. I also have a sisters Patreon, Savvy Sisters, where I create content specifically to the sisters. You can ask me a question and I will respond in video format. I just had one put up the other day on the Savvy Sisters Patreon, and the question was to the effect of, should I be a co-wife? So I answered that question. Should you be a co-wife, sister? Is this better for you? Or is this worse for you? Should you not entertain the idea of polygyny, period? You can check that out on Savvy Sisters. Okay, Miss Emfriz, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You've been waiting patiently there, bro. كيف الحال أخي? Yes. تفضل أخي.
Yeah, so brother, you know, after watching a few Muslim YouTubers lately, I've been kind of getting the sense that this, you know, red pill label has gotten so much heat and negative connotation lately that perhaps we should maybe distance ourselves from the label or even maybe the movement. Because I think as Muslims, we don't have any allegiance to labels or, you know, movements even outside of our own religion.
One thing that I have found is that this word red pill seems to, I'm going to mute you because you've got a lot of feedback there. It seems to throw people off completely. The moment they hear a term, a name, they immediately view it as a movement. And am I saying that it can't be a movement? No, it can be a movement. Veganism can be a movement. You know, you can take anything and make it an ideology, to be honest with you, within reason. And I have found the word red pill to be a bit problematic because it distracts people from the core of what it's about. So I do agree with you in that. Is there any Shari'i implication there? I don't know. That's not for me to comment on. But from a practical implication, one thing is for sure, and I will agree with you upon, is that people just stop thinking the moment they hear a term, the red pill. They just literally stop thinking. And then the benefits, the fruits of what you can learn from it get lost. And I need to distance myself. I need to say this. I have benefited tremendously from red pill content creators in the space who have made a lot of sense of female nature and behavior and help you to make peace with it, to not hate them for it, to not hate them for what they could never be, as Rolla would say, to not hate a woman for what she could never be. So there is a debt of gratitude that I owe them, and this cannot be denied. But I understand what you're saying, Akhi. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you there, and maybe as a strategy in your content from here on out, maybe you can do something like a abandon strategy where you say, "Hey guys, I'm not a red pill. Anyway,
Nah.
blah blah blah," and you
Yeah, I get
talk
what you're
about
saying.
your personality there.
Yeah, I don't know. That feels a bit shady. That reminds me of a story from 48 Laws of Power. This guy called Caligula, who was a rampant atheist, but he was imprisoned for it and tortured for it. So what he did was he wrote a book condemning atheism, supposedly, but actually all he did was his arguments, the atheistic arguments, were put in a way that seemed to be very convincing, and the old Catholic responses were put in a way that looked stale and like didn't make any sense. That's what that reminds me of. But to say no, it's like no, I'm not. That's like taking and then not. I need to give credit where it is due. I'm just trying to be fair. I need to give credit where it is due. I've benefited tremendously, and I think a lot of men can relate. And for those who are saying, "Oh, this red pill," and I'll throw it in there, mashallah, you took the fruits, and then once you took the fruits, you're turning, you're saying, "No, none of this." Look, I got no allegiance to either side: red pill, blue pill, no pill, whatever. But I have an allegiance to beneficial knowledge, wherever I can find it. And Islam and Muslims don't have a monopoly on beneficial knowledge. I know it's like shock horror. How dare you, Mahdi? Who made YouTube? You're watching me right now. Who made that? A Muslim? No, wasn't a Muslim, bro. We don't have a monopoly on beneficial knowledge. You find something beneficial, take it. Alhamdulillah. Okay, I'm going to bring on another caller, my man. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Ilyas, appreciate it, my man. Thank you for the support, Akhi. €5 super chat. If a woman can't find a man, it's a huge red flag in itself. Remember this, dear brothers. Well, what I'll say is this, Ilyas, is why is a woman trying to find a husband on her own in the first place? She should be involving her mahram, her father, her brother, if she has that. And most women do. If you're one of the few sisters who genuinely don't have a mahram, maybe you're a revert sister and your parents want nothing to do with you or something like this, fine. That's one thing. But most of you do have a mahram of some sort. Most of you do. You should be involving your mahrams. They will help you sift the wheat from the chaff. Thank you for the €5 super chat, Melvin. It's funny how women in their young years be on top of the world, but when they start to get older, reality starts to hit them in the face. Yeah, it does. And a lot of men take pleasure in this because men step into their prime in their older years, you see. But I've gone to the point now where I really don't take pleasure in it. I don't take pleasure in seeing sisters in particular reaching their late 20s, early 30s, maybe even mid 30s and genuinely struggling. I don't take pleasure in it. It's sad. It's sad. They all sold a bad bill of goods and there's no refund. There's no refund on that. So I don't take pleasure in it, to be honest with you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, Akhi.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get straight to the point. It's kind of a long story, but
one second. If you want to join the stream, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. It's in the chat. Yes, Akhi, tafadal.
Yeah, so I was just trying to ask you, so how do you deal with passive aggression? So I can go into details about the story, but you know, it might get long, you know.
Details. Give me some details.
Okay, so I gave my wife a gift, right? So long story short, she ended up like re-gifting it to her brother. That kind of ticked me off because I didn't give it to her brother. I gave it to her, right, for her to enjoy the gift. And she asked me for the gift, so you know it was kind of like, why'd you ask me in the first place if you didn't want it? And so I addressed her brother. I said, give back the gift that I gave to my wife. Why you know, this is not for you. So she kind of got mad at me for that. And I was kind of like pissed off because like, why are you mad at me when you asked me for the gift and then you gifted it to my brother and you're wondering why I'm mad about it?
She gave it to your brother?
No, her brother.
Her brother. Okay. Yeah.
So she's like, no, it's you know, you wanted it for me, but I want it for my brother. Well, I was like, well,
I was to ask her, why did she give it to her brother? What do you think she would say?
She gave the excuse. It was like a new iPhone. And she's like, oh, I'm not a woman. What am I going to do with an iPhone? I'm like, you have a phone and you use it like any other person. So why not have an iPhone? Is a gift for you.
Is your wife mentally stable?
Yeah, she's definitely mentally stable. So
okay, that's fine. The reason why I asked that is because there's a reason she did it, bro. And there's a reason why I asked you. If I spoke to her, and asked her, why did you give it to your brother? What would she say?
I did ask her. She said, I'm not a woman. You know, what am I going to do with an iPhone? That was her response, which was like kind of ridiculous, you know.
It sounds to me, Akhi, that she's trying to get a rise out of you. That's what it sounds to me. And by approaching her brother and saying, give it back, she has succeeded. She got the rise out of you. Now, that's extremely disrespectful what she did, especially if we're talking about something as expensive as an iPhone. But what I would do is this. I wouldn't even acknowledge it. Zero. And then after that, I cut all the gifts. No gifts.
Yeah, that's exactly what was on my mind. Like if you're gonna re-gift my gifts for you, that just shows me you don't appreciate nothing. So I'm not gonna give you anything. Like that's not what's going on in my mind. I'm very private, so like M is not my name, but like at the end of the day, you know, I'm just speaking on a personal issue, right?
I can't say I need to understand why she did it, and I'm not going to really be able to do that unless I heard her side of the story. But for you as a man, I'd say to you this is extremely disrespectful. There's a reason she did it. Like that's why I asked you, is she in her right state of mind? I would guess that she's trying to hurt you on purpose. Maybe she feels hurt by something else. I don't know. This is her way of seeking revenge, passive aggressive, like you said. But I don't understand what the reason is for that. How I would
No, but the thing is, it can't be that. You know why? Because like we're kind of like newlywed. Like she had pretty much had no reason to hurt me. Like I don't see the reason why she would try to do that. But the thing is, you know, maybe she genuinely, you know, wanted it for her brother. You know, maybe her brother pressured her to, you know.
Is her brother like? Is he poor? Is he a poor man? Does he?
Yeah.
He's
poor. Not like well off, right? So.
Okay, so this is actually a point that my wife just pointed out just now. See, this is a great example, guys. Remember I said to you, my wife sees things that I don't. She just said to me just now, hence why I muted the video. She said to me, Mehdi, ask him if her brother is poor. Well, then maybe she did it out of love for her brother. It's a bit of a silly mistake considering.
No, but this is the issue though. That's why I said this is why I said it could get a little bit long, but you know, I'm skipping a lot of details. So this is the issue. This is the main, like that's a side issue. Like that's not even the main part. So I said, okay, well, if you don't want it, then just put it somewhere. And then, you know, by doing that, I was hoping, you know, things would die down and, you know, she would just use it eventually, right? So because she was, I kind of felt like she was kind of like forcing my hand to, you know, make me give it to her brother. I didn't give her to her brother. I gave it to you. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I said, okay, if you don't want it, then just put it somewhere, and then that's that. Right. So what she ended up doing was she ended up taking it back to my mom's place. So and then, you know, drama ensued. Oh, why is he doing this and that? You know, like the family kind of got involved, and it became a bigger issue than it should have been. And I didn't tell her to take it back to my mom's place, so I told her to put it down and just leave it alone, right?
Right.
So,
how old are you, Akhi?
I'm private, so I don't like.
Okay, but I need to get a rough pulse on it. Are you like teens or 20s? Put it that way.
I don't want to disclose too much, right? But the thing is,
but you see, just if you want me to help you, Akhi, I need details. It's important because there's a difference. My answer to you, if you were in your teens, will be different than your 20s, and my answer, if you're in your 20s, will be different than your 30s. I can't give you an accurate answer until I know. Roughly, is it teens or 20s? You're young, for sure. You're either teens or 20s, one of the two.
Okay, let's just say between 25 and 32.
Okay, perfect. Carry on.
I'll give you a rough range.
That's fine. Right. Yeah, carry on.
So she took it back to my mom's place, and then, it became a thing, and like, I'm a private person. If my issues leave the house, then we have a problem, right? Mm-hmm. So I like to solve my issues in my house, like, and if we have any issues, we keep it in our house, right? So, like, that was the main issue, like, why would you do that? I never told you to take it back to my house, like, so why would you do that, first of all? And second of all, she's kind of like creating this issue out of nothing.
How did she respond when you said to her, why did you take this to the family? What was her response?
To be honest with you, bro, I just ignored it. I just ignored the whole situation. I just kept it, within the family. I said, okay, if that's how she wants to do it, then.
But did you make it clear to her? Did you make it clear to her that this is not acceptable? It's embarrassing. You're taking to the family. I didn't want this to become a thing, because I can relate to that. That's embarrassing. Did you make that clear to her that you don't want that to happen again?
No, this is kind of like a recent issue, and like, I'm kind of mad at her right now, so I'm just kind of ignoring her. So okay. That's why I asked you, how would you deal with passive aggression? Because it's kind of like it's not like a minor issue, but it's an issue that can become a major issue. Maybe like it's some of the issue. Like, I don't know how to put it. Ultimately,
bro, this is what I say to you: is this, Akhi. If your wife is a woman who, generally speaking, respects you, and generally speaking, she's obedient, and generally speaking, she's not problematic, then you shouldn't have a problem with having a simple sit down and a simple conversation. Say to her, look, wife, you done this. This was very upsetting to me. This was displeasing to me. This was actually borderline embarrassing for me. I would appreciate if you don't do that again. And if she is a respectful woman and a woman who, generally speaking, doesn't have any issue, being submissive towards you, she should take that on board and not do it again. Is she that type of woman, though?
Like I said, I'm newlywed, so a lot of these things, we haven't.
It doesn't matter, bro. It's a personality.
Yeah, no. I get your point. So, these are experiences that we're having as we go. So, I'm finding out as the relationship goes. So
this is what I say. This is what you need to do, bro. Yeah, you do this, and if this doesn't work, then you come back to me afterwards. The first thing you want to do is the very simple thing. You sit her down, you have a conversation. You explain to her what she did that crossed the line for you, that crossed the limits, and that you don't want her to do it again. Don't get upset, don't get emotional. Sit her down and explain it frankly. Hopefully, if she's a decent sister and a decent woman, she'll acknowledge the mistake, she'll apologize, and you can keep it moving and it won't happen again. If that doesn't happen, then call in again and we'll have another chat. All right, Em?
Well, I appreciate you, bro.
Habibi. Yallah, assalamu alaikum. Marriage is hard, man. SubhanAllah. I remember when I first got married. Then again, I got married very young, to be fair. Still a kid. But that honeymoon phase wore off real quick. We were like cat and dog fighting each other. Not physically, just like verbal warfare. Ugh. I don't wish to be 16 again. I don't envy you youngsters, wallah. Saad, salaam alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
كيف الحال؟
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. I'm actually based in Montreal, Canada. So it's just when I have a question, let's say a lot of sisters I meet, they just want to get married as soon as possible.
You want to what?
They want to marry as soon as possible.
Okay.
What do you think about? Is this like, should the brothers take their time, or should they just?
It's very simple. If you fear haram, if you are concerned that by not marrying you could potentially fall into haram, then marriage is wajib upon you. You have to get married. Do your best to get married. Don't delay. And I say to the brothers all the time, like AbuAmerican has given the advice in the past, you know, get your stuff together and then get married. I'm going to be honest with you, Akhi. I couldn't wait. I would not be able to wait. So although that's ideal, that is ideal, getting your stuff together first and so on, I personally wouldn't be able to wait. So I don't tell my brothers to wait either. So if you fear that you are going to be unable to abstain from the haram, Bismillah, tawakkul ala Allah, akhi. وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whomsoever relies upon Allah, Allah is sufficient for him.
Yeah, that's a good point. But on the other spectrum, there's a possibility that you don't know the person, the real personality of the person, and then you find out after you do the.
Don't overthink it, bro. Don't overthink. Analysis paralysis. Yes, that's the trade-off, akhi. Yes, that's true. But again, that's better than falling into haram. Protecting your private parts comes first and foremost. And if you can be patient, then be patient. But don't overthink it. Find someone who's generally, mashallah, khalas. Too much information is bad information. This is even a rule in business. The link is in the chat. Too much information is bad information. You see her, you like her, she doesn't have any major red flags. Yalla, bismillah, tawakkal ala Allah. Don't overthink it. Okay, Saad?
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yalla, assalamu alaikum. Right. Let's see now. Don't become a static. I need you to flash your camera before I bring you on, please. Flash your camera. Dan, assalamu alaikum. Nope, we don't have that. Okay, Hamza, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes,
Akhi Karim, I have a question. I have heard the hadith about that the hellfire will be filled with women, and I wanted to know what's the reason behind this. Have this to do something with feminist, the characteristics?
What was the beginning of part of your question?
What's the reason that the hellfire will be filled with women? Because I really, yes, I think about it. Why it will be filled with women and not men?
Yeah, this hadith I've mentioned it a few times on my channel in the past. It concerns that the Prophet ﷺ responded to the Sahaba when they asked, because they are ungrateful to their husbands, and there's another reason. I think it was they curse frequently. They're ungrateful to their husbands and they curse frequently. However, you have to put this hadith into context as well, in that women will outnumber men. But towards the day of judgment, towards Yawm al-Qiyamah, women will outnumber men 50-1. You see? But that was the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't remember the reference for it. I don't have it up on my screen right now. I have mentioned it numerous times in the past. It's Sahih hadith. And that was the Messenger of Allah's response. They are ungrateful to their husbands and they curse frequently. If I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Does that answer your question, Hamza?
Yes, Akhi Karim. But I heard also hadith like the minority of the paradise will be women, and most of the women will be also in hellfire. There are two hadiths about Sahih hadiths, like minority of the paradise.
Akhi, take this to a talib al-ilm or a sheikh. This is out of my depth now. Okay?
Okay. Barakallahu fik, Akhi Karim. Shukran.
Okay. Don't become a static. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. كيفك مهدي?
Alhamdulillah. How you doing, akhi?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. Sorry, my username is meant to be don't become a statistic. Sorry.
All right.
Okay. So I'm 20. I'm midway through my engineering degree, chemical engineering, and these divorce statistics, they're putting me off wanting to get married. So I want to know if it's worth it. If it's like, shall I? Because
I got a question for you. What choice do you have? Man's going on like he's got a choice, fam. What choice do you have, akhi? How else are you going to relieve yourself in halal?
Wait till Jannah.
Oh,
Let's wait
bro,
till Jannah.
good luck with that, bro. They're going to be making movies about you when you're 40, Akhi, the 40-year-old virgin. Come on, bro. Can't be having that, Akhi. That's not a big man thing. You understand?
Oh, God.
Listen, Akhi, listen. Yes, the divorce statistics are horrifying. But even though it's 50-50, 50% of all marriages end in divorce, we kind of forget that the other 50%, they make it work. That's a high number. So do your best to ensure that you become part of the 50% who make it work. This business is not getting married, Akhi. This is not going to work. It's not going to work.
Really? Oh, okay.
It's going to work. Okay, Akhi?
Okay.
Ya Allah, salam.
Okay, thank you.
Can't be waiting till Jannah, bro. That's a long thing. I can barely wait till tomorrow. Right, okay. Who else are we bringing on? I think that's it. I think we're good. Yalla. Jazakumullah khair. This has been a good stream. It's the longest stream I've ever done, actually. Barakallahu feekum. Please make sure you like the video before you leave and you're sub to the channel. If you want to contact me directly, you can. theredmahdi@gmail.com. You can contact me there for private consultations and so on. My consultation fee is not cheap and it is not expensive either. You see, a lot of people complaining about, oh, brother, what, £400 for? Yes, £400 for an hour. Let me tell you something. It's going to be £2,000 for an hour very soon. What? Fam, are you dumb? Do you understand the consequences of making a poor choice, life partner choice? It's a lot more than £400 for the hour. And you're not paying for my hour. You're paying for the time that I put into my craft. Yes, £400 is peanuts compared to what you could potentially get out of it. Yalla. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.